The Fan from the University Hospital Sports Desk. I'm Jeff Thomas. Up next time, the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima here on 92.3 The Fan.
All the Browns and NFL news you may have missed at work. The Afternoon Drive. Weekdays starting at 2. 92.3 The Fan. The Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima.
That isn't the first thing that I think about, not being from here, but I can understand how that looks. They do these things. I think you can take it however you want. If you're from Cleveland, you can take it one way, and if you're from Baltimore, you can say it's not a big deal. For me, it kind of makes it more exciting. You know, we get to go in there, when they're having some people back and more eyes on you, it'll make it more interesting.
No, it doesn't really mean much to me. Same goal every week to go in, focus on what we got to do to get the win, and that's the main focus.
So you guys are 10.5-point dogs, I think, in this game. And, really, I don't think anybody gives you guys much of a chance to go into Baltimore and win this game. What are your thoughts on that?
Definitely disrespect. We just got to go in there and take care of business. So regardless of what people may think and who they got winning or losing the game, we got to go in and try to beat the odds. They're putting us against the odds. We got to go in there and try to beat it.
That's disrespectful. By the end of the day, they think Baltimore could beat us like that. We're going to have to prove them another thing. We got to do our job and do our best to win the game.
This is Cleveland Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan.
Morning, everybody. That's Jerry, Judy, and Denzel, and Joe, and everybody involved. Good morning.
Did you like that from Mary Kay? Poking, prodding.
Well, you can't see her face, so I'm sure you see her face. She's trying to be respectful when she says it, because at first you go, well, you're just telling them they're going to get blown out on Sunday.
I know. I wonder if Kevin Stefanski put her up to it.
No.
Like Mary Kay, go in there.
Reckless speculation.
Go into the locker room and tell everybody how nobody thinks our team has a shot.
You need to think of these things before you say them, because that was just a crazy thing to say. Why would you tell her to go in there and say the things to those players?
Wait a second. Did you not yesterday just give a passionate speech to rile up the team?
I'm a radio host. Kevin didn't text me and tell me to do it.
And the football coach is not capable of doing that? And using everything they can. Don't we know one thing about coaches in general in sports is that they do whatever they can to try to, out of thin air, grab some disrespect. Try to find some morsel of nobody thinks you can win. You guys are the scum of the earth when it comes to football. Nobody thinks you've got a shot.
Scum of the earth.
And yet,
Lord.
Then Mary Kay comes in and asks that kind of a question. Perfect. That's exactly what you would want. Fans should appreciate that.
Scum of the earth is a bit strong.
Getting them fired up.
You asked me to do it. He is not that guy. I am that guy.
Is that a problem? Do we need that guy?
Do you want me to be the head coach of the Browns?
I wouldn't mind you giving the speeches.
I think they would mind me giving the speeches.
Like he just shows up on Sunday and gives a speech, and then they don't. He does a preview show, and they might see him in the preview.
There you go.
I think it'd be pretty wild if all of a sudden, like DeJuan Jones sitting there going, "What the hell's Ken doing in here?"
Oh, the speech guy's here.
I think that would be
the speech guy's here doing the speech thing.
Gather around, children.
It's speech time
here,
and I only show up for the speeches, and then I leave.
Yes, then you're never to be seen again.
It doesn't work if you're not in the foxhole with them. You got to be in the foxhole together.
Okay,
if I just show up and give a speech and leave every time, like you can do it once maybe, but if you leave every time and I'm just the certified speech dude, that don't work. That's going to fall on deaf ears.
So who is the speech guy for the team? We got to be in the
foxhole together.
Who's the foxhole speech guy with the Browns? Do they have one? Is it Jim Schwartz?
Well,
it might be Jim Schwartz.
If we're doing it.
Yeah, here we go. Are we talking coaches or players? Just coaches?
Foxhole speeches, man. That
Foxhole speech coaches. We're doing foxhole speech coaches. Number one, Jim Schwartz.
Okay.
Number two, I'm going to say Jason Tarver.
Oh, okay.
Linebacker coach. Underrated mind by the fans. Underrated mind.
Is Callie Bronson still there?
No, she is not.
Out of the foxhole.
Why do you always bring her up? Why do you always do that?
I don't know who gives the speeches.
Bubba Ventrone.
Bubba?
Definitely foxhole speech guy. Not Chad O'Shea.
Might want to work on the kickoffs first.
Deuce Staley?
Yes.
Foxhole. No, I changed my vote.
Okay.
Number 3 is Deuce Staley, Foxhole speech guy.
You're just looking at him because how he looks. It's a menacing look.
No, he will talk tough as well.
Yeah, that's what you need to be.
Yeah.
Because if Stefanski's not that guy, we need somebody.
Well, wait a minute. Has definitely been in the foxhole.
Mm-hmm.
I would,
both a player and a coach.
I would say I don't look too menacing, but I thought I can give I think I can give a rousing speech
to a group of 5th and 6th grade boys. You look menacing. To a group of NFL football players.
No,
not menacing.
No. I look like a bag of sand.
To people walking through the cardiac club, menacing.
I don't think I look menacing to the people in the cardiac club.
When the seagulls are outside and Ken's back is turned to everybody on the inside of the club, and there's
a lot of
munching down on his dinner or his breakfast or his lunch.
Menacing too.
My sons, number 1,
with a bullet.
The Chagrin Falls Book Club.
The Chagrin Falls Book Club, number 2. A former assistant coach for the Kirtland Hornets, number 3.
Oh yeah.
Hey, congratulations on the win. I mean, Kirtland wins a lot. I'm talking about the former assistant coach. Don't think we haven't noticed. Yeah. I mean, he's not going to give that speech. It's fine. He's not that guy. Hey, Chuck Noll won 4 Super Bowls, and he famously said, if I have to motivate you, then you don't belong here.
It is.
He
funny.
Never gave any speeches.
Boy, it is funny to think about like all the different types of coaching, and there's certain guys that absolutely they command the cameras, and so you see it on.
Here's your game notes for this.
So thank you. So you'll see it on NFL Films, full colors. Well, you'll see it on NFL Films. Inside the NFL used to be an awesome show. Is it even still a show anymore?
I don't know.
But that's how in many ways I got introduced to NFL Films.
If it is, I'm sure it's hosted by Stephen A. Smith.
Either the pregame or postgame shows, pre or postgame speeches that you would get from the coaches.
Like John Henderson getting slapped in the face before he goes out there. That was a good one.
Yeah, like Stefanski, even when they've won big games, you haven't really gotten that vibe from him.
Yeah.
That he's going to be the guy to deliver that passionate speech.
No. Which, by the way, like, say they go on a run, he probably lost his chance. Because I was thinking, boy, if you get to the playoffs, you know where it would matter if all of a sudden he came out and goes and starts giving a speech that's like, hey, he's never done this before. Of course, if it falls flat, that ain't a good thing. 30th anniversary on Sunday. We talked about that extensively, and then the players were asked about that extensively. Joe Flacco was asked about these matters. Joe Flacco did say players aren't going to feel that celebration side of things.
As players, I don't really think you're going to feel that side of it. That's just something that's going to be there for the people that are in attendance and at halftime. And I'll probably head out 10 minutes earlier to say hello to a couple guys. For me, it's another game. I got to prepare to play another football game.
See, thank you. He has such good common sense about it.
Like he really does.
He has stopped. It's not like an old man just telling you the truth. Yeah,
he kills my attempt to drum up controversy.
But he's very a matter of fact. Like, well, yeah, I played there a long time, so I'm probably going to go out about 10 minutes early and say hi to a couple of guys. But I don't think he's going to sit there in tears and bask in the glory of the Super Bowl that he won there so many years ago. I think that's for another day. He'll probably be there for the 40th anniversary celebration, which will probably be against the Browns. They'll go, oh, no, we planned this back in March. You guys have no idea. We didn't know. Sure you didn't.
It is so funny, though. He's just like, yeah, I've also got a football game to win, and I'm not going to worry about, the defining moment of my career was over there. And this is what my family's going to be talking about years from now. But in the meantime, I'm going to be in the here and now. I've got a team that's paying me money, and it's a divisional game, and it's week 2, and it's a must-win for us.
Yep, there's a job that must be done. I told you I would do this. Carson Swessinger is just a rookie, and I told you I would do it yesterday because you were saying how much does it matter to the players, and I said, well, probably not that much. I mean, they're from different parts of the country. A lot of them are very young. And then I go, Carson Swessinger's really young. A lot of people are excited, so I'm going to take a risk here. I'm going to ask him about the history of these two teams and see if he knows about the rivalry and why there is not just being in a division, why there is a rivalry between the Baltimore Ravens and your Cleveland Browns. And here is Carson Swessinger last night on the preview show. You know the history between these two teams, right?
I do.
Okay, 30th anniversary, they're celebrating it. What is your message to Browns fans who certainly remember 1995 and will be taking a special interest in this game?
I think really when it comes down to it, it's about us and our organization and our fans, and really what we're going out there to do is play a good game of football and play for our fans, and that's what we're excited to do.
That's Carson Swessinger. Feel better?
Yeah, it's kind of
I kind of let him on a little bit, I got to admit.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you did what I thought Mary Kay did a good job of doing. These are the answers we want.
Yeah.
This is exactly what we want out of it.
I didn't want to make, I mean, he's a good kid. I didn't want to make him look bad. You know, he kind of reminds me of, he's from Southern California. He got that blonde hair. He does kind of remind you of somebody else. Used to own a Pontiac dealership around these places. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
a great Pontiac dealership back in the day. I think they sold GMC as well back then. I was upset. I don't know how much more time I spend getting upset. I think that today I kind of cool off. Tomorrow maybe it heightens back up because I think I'm going to get annoyed that we're such underdogs in this game, in that it does feel to me like Mary Kay put out the statement that whoever from PR texted her and said that they didn't know that they were going to play the Browns. They'd done this since March. And I say, BS, I don't care. You can always change plans. Teams change plans all the time. All the time. You still had from May, June, July, August. You have 4 months to sit there and change any plans that you possibly had. I don't know who's playing at halftime. I'm sure if you had Taylor Swift playing at halftime, which that'll be something. If you had her playing at halftime, I can understand you have made plans and you can't change them. But I'm sure Foghat might be able to change their plans for you. All right? So I don't want to hear anything of, well, we already did it and we weren't able to change plans. I think it's the biggest BS line of crap I've ever heard in my life. So I'm not going to give them any more of that. So I spent yesterday being mad about it, and I think Sunday I'll be mad about it. I think Sunday after the pregame, I'll get back home, I'll get in the office, I'll see some of the ceremony, and I'll just start to go mad. And then, if things don't go our way, then I'm going to get real mad about it. Then I'm going to get really upset.
Well, think about it. I mean, this is the epitome. There's no more accurate comparison than a homecoming game. This is when the high school schedules or the college schedules a patsy, a team they're going to walk all over. That's the epitome of that. They couldn't have asked for a better, if you're Baltimore, you could not have asked for a better matchup on paper than this in terms of a team you've annihilated over the years. You've had this edge. Oh, by the way, you stole their team. And what I love about it, if you're Kevin Stefanski, if you are any of the people on the coaching staff that is capable of, drumming up some sort of motivation and disrespect card, is like, oh yeah, we have Myles Garrett, by the way. We have Myles Garrett. Like, homecoming teams don't typically have a guy on the other side that's better than almost anybody on your side.
That's true.
That doesn't normally happen.
But I do think this. But I don't want to. I think it would be fake of me to. You asked me to do the speech yesterday. That was make believe. If I were in the room, right? I don't want to act like I believe that they are going to go out there and fight for the goodness of the fan base with every single play. We did have an ugly situation last year. No matter what anybody wants to say, the fallout from it was not fun between the fans and some of the guys in the locker room, and what some of the guys were saying in the post game about that and all the other stuff. I think there was a little bit of resentment that was going on with the fans to the guys in the locker room there.
You're talking about when Watson was booed?
Yeah.
Or cheered when he got injured?
And some of the other stuff that was, that was said. And, I told you, I didn't think there were that many people. I was in the stadium. You don't believe me, but fine. I was in the stadium. I was in a weird place to be in that stadium, too. I didn't think there was that many, but there were. There were definitely some people who were excited that he got hurt. I can't deny that. But like when Jameis Winston's looking right into the camera and admonishing you, I think a lot of fans are going, you're just here for the year. Who are you to say anything to me when I've been here for 30 plus years? And I think a lot of those people were probably not at the game and didn't boo or didn't cheer, didn't shake their fist in excitement or anything like that. So that time, I hope they don't have long memories, but I also know it's like these are, again, guys from all over the country. And I think they're just trying to go 1-1. They're trying to get, or 1-0 this week, as we would say. They're trying to get back to 500. And they're trying to figure out a way to get back to 500. Now, I think if we were great motivators, we would use everything as bulletin board material. I would use every possible thing I could as bulletin board material every single week to try to motivate guys. But I don't know if that's how they go their business. And you could always say, if you go about your business in that way, that's maybe the reason why you are perpetually missing the playoffs or perpetually under 500 and perpetually doing the things that you've done because you don't want to take anything personal.
Well, me and you both, when we're not that old, but we're not that young anymore either. And we are from a different time frame on a lot of this stuff. Like when I grew up, guys like Clay Matthews, who you referenced before, that entire era of Browns football, like they felt part of the community. They felt like they understood the history. They understood what was at stake. They, of course, didn't make anywhere near the money in relation to the fans.
They still made more money than the general person.
They did, but not even close to the gap that exists now between the fans and how much money the players actually make. So I do wonder, are teams in 2025, are they even capable of understanding where the fans are coming from on this stuff?
But the thing that is multi-generational,
I don't know that they are.
The thing that is multi-generational, though, that the fan can go after any Browns player that they want to, because I don't know if it's there. The real true greats, doesn't matter if it was the 30s to the 80s to the 2000s to now, they create a thing to go after. They create, everything is a slight. Everything is you think you're against us. The Chiefs, Alabama before Kalen DeBoer, everybody did that. 216-474-0092. Mary Kay Cabot going to join us at 8:20 this morning. We're going to ask her about Quinshon Judkins, whether or not he's going to play on Sunday. And, what's the point of having the argument? When we all arrive at the same place, especially Anthony and I, Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, live on the Fan, I want you to arrive at the grocery store.
together to remind you that you are not alone. Join us for I'm Listening, hosted by Carson Daly, right here on 92.3 The Fan. For more details, visit imlistening.org.
Whenever you need to talk about the Browns, we got you covered. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
The most frustrating argument I think we've had in well, at least 8 days. You've been picking some fights here recently over the last month. It's been an interesting month for you. But the Andre Schmidt stuff, we just keep arriving at the same spot. Like, I heard what Kyle Shanahan said. Kyle Shanahan let go of Jake Moody. And it seemed to do two things. It seemed to kind of bolster both of our arguments. Where, I mean, this is what he was asked about letting go of Jake Moody in San Francisco. This is Kyle Shanahan, well-known football coach, guy who's coached in Super Bowls. And this is what he said about getting rid of the former 99th overall choice from San Francisco, their kicker, Jake Moody.
I think by where it got to, there wasn't that much of a decision. It's always tough with that, especially when you have a talented guy. I have some experience with that in my past. When I was in Washington, I didn't have that experience, and our kicker lost us a game. And remember how adamant I was when I went into the head coach's office and said, you need to make a change. Like, what are we doing? He snapped at me and said, no kickers. This guy's really talented. We got to give him some time. I'm not going to watch him go be a Pro Bowler for someone else. Then 2 weeks later, he missed a kick and lost us the game. So I felt like validated. I was like, told you, which I was right for like a day. Because then the next year he went on to be a Pro Bowler and the highest paid kicker in the league for the next 3 years for another team. It's tough with a kicker. I think Jake's got a chance to have a hell of a future. He is that talented, but when it gets to that spot where it is, we all know how last year ended. Obviously, when it gets to that point, you can see it affecting him from a mental game. Then you don't have much choice. You got to move on, and hopefully Eddie will come in here and do the job. So, I'm sitting there going, it's a dime a dozen. Got to go. And I think part of it is that I just want to try to hem up every situation. Now, I've cooled off as we've gone down through the week here, but I just kind of want to hem up every possible loose end that we can find, because man, I don't know if people feel the same way I do. Maybe they don't. Maybe they just want these guys gone. I'm like, man, I do want you guys to be successful. I do want Kevin to be successful. I go, man, if you'd have made that kick, what are we saying about these rookies today? And I was saying that on Monday. And now as we've gone through the week, I'm going, yeah, we're saying some really nice things about these rookies. Saying some really nice things about these younger guys. I think the Greg Newsome conversation is opening back up again, going, well, you did just rework Denzel's contract for this year. I know this year is this year, but maybe you see if you can get something done with him. It's been one game. But you feel spirited by some of the young guys. And I'm thinking, man, if you leave yourself open to this, it's just such a replaceable position. I just don't want to have these arguments anymore. Because I don't believe you develop kickers. No, you develop Mahmoud Diabate. That's who you develop. You develop DeJuan Jones. That's who you develop. Kickers, They get hot, and then they get the yips, and they go immediately cold. And there's guys like what Kyle Shanahan talks about. They become Pro Bowlers, and all of a sudden they can't hit anything. I mean, Dustin Hopkins. Dustin Hopkins was a free agent. Dustin Hopkins came in, hit his kicks, hotter than hell for a year, really, really good. Fell apart. The minute you gave him a contract, fell apart. Cade York came in here, hit a game-winning field goal against Baker Mayfield and the Carolina Panthers. It's great. He's doing beer ads. He's showing up in studio with us. Everybody loves Cade York. By the end of the year, he was a pariah. It comes and it goes so quickly. And so I'm like, well, let's just keep an arm's length. Let's not fall in love with the guy. We had our guy in Phil Dawson. I think a lot of teams are going through the same thing that we've been going through. We count all these kickers. It's like, hey, I think a lot of teams are going through a lot of different kickers every single year now. And I have a couple of theories about why that is, but none of it's great. None of it you can actually pin down. It's like, hey, buddy, you can either do it or you can't. If Mahmoud Diabate plays 38 snaps and he blows the coverage once, hopefully you don't give up a touchdown, but you can develop from there. But when you're out there and you're supposed to have to win games and you're supposed to have to give us points when our offense is there's so much pressure that's immediately on you. It just doesn't make sense to me to have to get so either passionately for to cut a guy. I don't want to end a guy's career, possibly end a guy's career, or be so passionate against keeping a guy to quote unquote develop him, which you heard it from Kyle Shanahan right there. It's like, what's to develop?
I mean, also, didn't Kyle Shanahan just admit that the whole thought behind how we deal with kickers, how we determine whether there are kickers of the future, whether we think we know their mental state or whatever, it's all just such a fluky experience.
Crapshoot.
So because of that,
you said it's a crapshoot.
I've gone after. I think everybody has at some point. Andrew Berry enough on certain things. I mean, we're in year 6 of this, and they're supposed to get blown out in week 2 and be 0-2. There's a lot of reasons to go after Andrew Berry. Is finding a kicker one of them? Is there a tried and true method? Is there a best practices to finding a kicker that I don't know about?
If you get a
because
kicker,
if every team in the league is studying this stuff and trying to figure out the best way, you can draft them, you can pick them up in free agency, you can have competitions all you want. In the end, Kenny, it sounds like, even you admit, if you're not year to year, you might be week to week.
If you're in that many tight games and a kicker wins games for you, I guess a kicker can, quote unquote, save your job. But say you find a kicker and you're still, say Andre Schmidt does end up having a fine rest of your season. And this is a big game of psychology with the guy. But say that you end up having a fine rest of the season, or whatever number's decent for everybody. Is anybody gonna make an argument for Andrew Berry to keep his job based on Andre Schmidt? Not a chance. Not a chance. So we have these big visceral arguments about a guy that, again, they end up being pretty dime a dozen in so many ways. Is that not true? And I can give you strong arguments. The Jed Wills thing. Well, maybe we can find his replacement in DeJuan Jones. And trying to find ways to plug it up. But, man, if he goes out there on Sunday, if they play well on Sunday, there's been some shows I've dreaded on Sunday night getting ready for a Monday morning. Some real shows that I've sat there and stared at the ceiling like, man, this is going to be a rough morning tomorrow. If they somehow are close on Sunday and he misses one, and that place is going bonkers, I don't want to do a show on Monday. Because I don't want to sit there and rip one guy. In the ultimate team game, I don't want to sit here and rip one guy. But the difference is that I'm not just going to rip that one guy. I got to rip the guys who kept him employed. I got to rip the people that are in charge.
Ironically, I saw people posting the numbers on how we've had maybe the worst kicking units in the NFL over the last, I don't know, however many years. If you add it up, any statistical way, like we're 32 out of 32. How many games do you actually remember that it was as bad as last week, where it's like the kicker lost us a game, even though I tried to make a case that, Joe Burrow still would have had the ball back with a chance to come from behind. He's actually done that in some of the biggest games that anybody could ever do. But we've all come to grips with the kicker cost us week 1. Okay.
Yeah.
How many games do we actually do that the next week and say the kicker lost us the game? It's actually not many. It's not as many as you would think, considering how poorly we have actually had it in the way of kicking.
Yeah.
How many of those games did you give up 7 net yards in the second half, though? Because I think that's why people are saying he lost them the game.
The Cincinnati game.
I get that, Joe Burrow gets the ball back, but he hadn't.
A couple times, maybe.
He didn't do anything. Yeah, he probably gets it back because the Browns ended up getting the ball back after that.
He didn't do anything with it. So I again, the ultimate team game, but you have so many or so few chances to break through and actually win that it felt like you were robbed of this situation. And again, in an effort to try to understand anything of what he goes through, it's like, yeah, he didn't miss him on purpose. And I don't want to sit there and rip him personally for it. But I can rip the people who kept him employed for it, because I think it's probably been proven here over the last couple of years that...
Well, would you not rip them if they decided to go week to week, brought in a new kicker this week, and that kicker missed? Are you like, I'm not going to rip the front office because they did what I wanted?
Because I keep saying, you know what? That's a self-fulfilling thing, but it would be like, you're still trying to find changes. You're still trying to find guys who are better at the position. You were still trying to find it, because it's the only thing. You either missed it or you made it. There's no wiggle room there.
You either missed the kick or you made the kick. I can try to make an argument for the hold. Dave's asked it. He'll text us. Goes, there was no problem with the hold. I was texting other people.
But you could,
absolutely no problem.
You could hear Shanahan. Part of why I thought the Shanahan clip was so interesting is it's not make or miss to him. He's got to figure out who's lost it mentally. Because you can miss a kick fundamentally. You can miss a kick because your plant leg did something, or like you said, the strings or the snap or whatever. He's got to go beyond that. It can't just be make or miss, because if it's just make or miss,
and that's a great
guys
thing.
Make or miss all the time that still otherwise could be really good kickers.
But is Andre Schmidt going to look good in practice today? Today's Thursday. Is Andre Schmidt going to look good in practice today? Look like he's mentally got it, because he seemed like he was mentally fine in the first half, and then all of a sudden we get the yips. Because now it's not on, like, people wanted to pile up on Andre Schmidt. And it's like, hey, because they're a dime a dozen, get rid of them. But now it's like, hey, man, you guys kept him around. So I don't blame him. I don't blame him. I blame you. I blame you for keeping him around.
I just know that, like, I've heard other hosts say this too, like the Browns are endorsing, Nick said they're endorsing losing if they don't go to another kicker. It just feels like
I don't endorse losing.
It just feels like we've all decided that as long as they try a new kicker, we're not gonna crush him. But if we keep the same kicker and he misses, then we've got to target him and we've got to go after him. And I'm just like, both seem like very flimsy ways to go about this in the ebbs and flows of hoping and praying you've got a good kicker.
Well, because
neither solution sounds great to me.
I think you're, and honestly, I think you're totally right. Because I don't know any proven way to develop a kicker other than, he started hitting his kicks, he's fine. He's been through 3 different teams and he came from the UFL, but somehow this guy ended up being a great kicker. Or this guy's been with 3 different teams and he went in the UFL and now he's sucking up the room for your favorite team. And you're going, why did you bring in this idiot in the first place? I mean, that's basically what it is. I think it's a giant crapshoot in so many ways. And it makes it easier for me to go, I'm sorry, we got to move on. I got to find somebody who can hit the kicks. And it's not really crazy. It's not really a great thing to do. It's not a good message to the rest of the locker room, except I think the rest of the locker room goes, yeah, he's a kicker. Go find us a guy who can hit the kicks. It's that simple. 216-474-0092. That, and the Browns are big underdogs. So you know what? You might as well talk your trash. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, live on the Fan.
Anthony Lima, 4.
Duke's Mayonnaise. Get Duke's Mayo in store. It's got twang.
You can listen to The Fan anytime, anywhere on the free Odyssey app and by telling your smart speaker to play 92.3 The Fan. Now you can find 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and watch all the best content from your favorite shows on The Fan each and every weekday.
How big is the point spread?
I'm seeing 11.5.
I've got 11.5 right now.
Well, you know what? If everybody thinks you're going to lose, in the words of Lou Brown, you might as well go out there and give them all a big bleep burger to eat. Here's Jerry Jeudy on the challenges the Ravens secondary poses.
Baltimore secondary, a lot of number one names back there. Just what are the challenges that group presents to you guys as receiving?
No challenges.
No challenges. Going forward, saying they now somebody asked about 10.5 points.
Mary Kay, she said 10.
Mary Kay said 10.5 points. She joins us at 8:21. Where's she getting that juice from?
She's got a different book than the rest of us.
Here is Jerry on being 10.5 point underdogs and whether or not it's disrespectful.
That's disrespectful. By the end of the day, they think Baltimore could beat us like that. You know, we're going to have to prove them another thing. You know, we got to do our job and do our best to win the game.
Denzel Ward later on asked whether or not 10.5 points in a spread is disrespectful.
It's definitely disrespect. We just got to go in there and take care of business. So regardless of what people may think and who they got winning or losing the game, you know, we got to go in and try to beat the odds. You know, they putting us against the odds. We got to go in there and try to beat it.
Should the Guardians? We'll talk about the Guardians coming up here in about 20 minutes. Should the Browns talk trash because they're 10.5 point favorites or 10.5 point underdogs? Should they not talk trash either because they're 10.5 point underdogs?
Yeah, it's interesting because their defense caught a lot of flack from fans last year over the dancing when they couldn't win games. I mean, they won 4. Well, how many games they win last year?
They won 3.
They won 3. My God. They won 3 games last year, and yet the defense had at least one celebration every week. It seemed like.
Oh, in their defense, they were only trying for about 11 of them.
Right. They
when the offense is going 3 and out every time and not controlling the ball.
It wasn't necessarily the defense's fault, obviously. In fact, most of the time it wasn't. But there were a lot of games where defense was not nearly good enough. They did not live up to the billing. And yet they kept celebrating, they kept dancing, and then there'd be a contingent of fans who'd be like, "Who cares? Let them jaw, let them whatever. Just that's football. Like that's not a big deal. It's 2025. They're going to do that."
I don't think you could jaw pregame if you're going to back it up. You can jaw pregame. You can jaw when you're up. You can dance when you're up. You cannot dance when you want to. You can't do it because if you're down by 20 and you start dancing, I'm going to notice it and I'm going to be upset about it.
I think I'd be more cool for hearing it from the defense. Like now the defense has
because you trust the defense more.
Their defense has their work cut out for them, obviously this week because Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry. Good luck. Yeah. Good luck. Seems like they make you guess on who has the ball on each play. It's like the old school college offenses. And you have to guess right. And even if you guess right, they still get yards. Like, that's how scary they are to go up against. And they've had great matchups. Like, we have had great matchups against really good Baltimore teams over the years. So it's not like I think we should just lay down, not say anything, and just, take your ass whooping and let it be their homecoming. Like, no, I don't think that either. It's just like Jerry Jeudy coming off the drop. It's hard to hear that from Jerry Jeudy right now until, he has a massive big game. I know he had his massive big game against Denver in a loss last year, but I'd kind of like to see Jeudy have a big game that matters against a good team and have it be in a win. Like, that's what I want to start hearing from Jerry Jeudy.
I'm sorry. I don't know why that copy is so funny. You say, take your ass whooping. Listen, I agree with you. They're a bunch of grown men. Talk trash. Talk trash. Right now, before the game, say whatever you want to say. If there's more media availability throughout this week, if they want to sit there and go, you know what, 10.5 points is a disrespect, which 2 guys have, and we're going out there and we're going to ruin their celebration and we're going to kick their ass. I'm not trying to do a whole thing again. Then fine. Go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it. Because somebody's got to take them seriously. If everybody in the world is taking them to lose this game on Sunday, then if anybody's going to win it, It's going to be them, and they're going to have to take themselves seriously to do it. Because, I mean, the difference between them and the Ravens, it's the NFL. It's always marginal. Mm-hmm. It's always they'll probably have Lamar, and we have Joe. And, yeah, I'm going to take the Ravens to win the game because they have Lamar, and we have Joe. And Joe's a good quarterback, but Joe's 40, and Lamar's an MVP, for crying out loud. Let's be serious here. So I would probably do that. But I'm sure we break down rosters, we break down matchups. There's some things that they're definitely better at, but I don't know how much further better than they are than us. So I bet it's going to be, at the beginning of the fourth quarter, it's within a score.
Yeah, it's the NFL, right? I mean, it should be.
You kind of get figured out, you kind of see where the margins are, and you wait for one team to make a mistake. Now, more than likely, it will be us. That's where these differences are, and we'll get really mad about that mistake, and we'll talk about it, and we'll blame probably the coaches and the general manager and the guy who made the mistake, and we'll get all upset about it, and we'll lick our wounds and get ready for Green Bay the Sunday after. But that's probably how it's going to go. I just don't want them to roll over and die in this game, because there is something there for me now because of what we talked about at the beginning of the show and what dominated the show yesterday and really has dominated the last couple of days of radio here with what's going on in the pregame. So now I don't care if that's not their motivation. That's fine. I get it. They're younger guys. They either don't remember it, weren't alive for it, or we're not in an area where they would be actively upset or excited or whatever about it. I just don't want them to just die and just play in a way that they've played before where it's just like, oh, that's the end of it. Okay, we're just going to go out here and we're going to go through the motions. Jamie Collins walking around the game down in Miami a couple of years ago, and it just looked like nobody wanted to be down there and just wanted to get on a plane and get back here as soon as they possibly could. Like, you do have games that don't go your way, but they just can't, in the third and fourth quarter, give up on the football game. That's where I'll be really upset. So just go out there and talk your trash and go out there and see if you can get them.
I'm always intrigued on where the fans are at on this, because the fans loved when Baker Mayfield was jawing, and they loved it until we lost, until we were losing those final years. And we're like, dude, shut up. We're not good. Like, why are you doing this? You're giving the other team motivation. Now we got to hear it from the fan bases.
It turned into rabbit ears real quick.
Right.
It turned into insecurity real quick.
Yeah, but then at the same time, all I'd ever hear is, we love Nick Chubb, that he never says anything. It's like, it feels like we pick
and we choose.
We vacillate from guy to guy, situation to situation.
Yeah, because it's a fantasy, and if we're doing really, really well, yeah, we love to rub it in their nose.
So, like, I wonder yesterday, because we're only 0-1 and we're not 3-12 with a few games left. Like, do you like Jerry Jeudy saying what he said?
I do.
But at what point don't we like it?
When they're 3-12 and they have a few games left. I mean, that's where it is.
And regardless, does any of it matter? Does any of it really matter?
In the grand scheme of it,
is Baltimore going to play harder now because he did it?
In the grand scheme of it, no. But Jerry Jeudy is supposed to believe that he's paid like it. He's supposed to believe that he's one of the preeminent wide receivers in the NFL. And so, yeah, he should say it's not that much of a challenge. And he should say it's a disrespect. Your professional football team, it's a 10.5-point spread. And in some books, as Owen had brought up, it's even more. It's an 11.5-point spread. Yes, that is a disrespect. By nature of what the NFL is, anything above single digits, really anything above a touchdown, you can take as a disrespect, and you should take as a disrespect. So yes, you are being disrespected by everybody, by the fans, by the organization of the Baltimore Ravens, especially for this, and you're definitely being disrespected by Vegas and everybody else. So it's up to you to change that. It's up to you. So if you want to talk your trash and that helps your process, please, by all means, say as much bleep as you want to, as long as it carries over to Sunday afternoon. 216-474-0092. Or do you think they should speak softly and carry a big stick and kind of keep it down because you don't want them to beat up on us too much? Or as Lima says, take your ass whooping. Coming up at 9 o'clock, Jason Lloyd going to join us.
Take your ass whooping.
Jason Lloyd is going to join us on the show. Coming up in 5 minutes, should I blame Steven or his boss? Or, hey, they won 5 in a row. These things happen. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima. Take us with you to work on the free Odyssey app. Watch us for free on YouTube Live.
It's Anthony Lima for Fan.
everything he has.
Royals rallied with 2 runs in the top of the 7, get the win. Loss snapped the Guardians' winning streak at 5 games. Don't miss the Kevin Stefanski Show, followed by Thursday Night Football, All-Star Night at 7 o'clock, right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Find out what happened in Berea while you're working. The Afternoon Drive, weekdays at 2, 92.3 The Fan.
Your kid just started preschool, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready to get sick every fall? Are you prepared?
Wait, yeah, it comes with the territory, right?
Oh, yeah. Because Liz got a cold, and now yesterday I'm going, I'm starting to feel it. It's starting to go down. Owen, do you get sick every fall?
No.
You don't?
No.
How?
Immunity.
Lots of 11%ers.
That's a hardcore. Yeah, I mean, you're drinking 11%.
Those beat boxes do things.
Those beat boxes will beat the brakes off that cold. I'll tell you that. Jeez. All right. Well, like I told Liz, I'm starting to feel it. Thanks a lot. Because they come home.
That's the one thing that wrestling has done for my family is hygiene has become the utmost importance for the boys, especially. So there's none of that bringing things home with you.
Good lessons.
Can I share something with you guys real quick?
Skin clean at all times.
Let me tell you something here. So he's probably going to get mad at me later in life, but I don't care. So Liz was doing his hair. My oldest was doing his hair the other day because he had pictures, and she goes, "Why is your hair so greasy? What's going on here?" And Axel goes, "Oh, I forgot to tell you, we're out of soap." And Liz goes, "So you're just standing under the shower with the water?" He goes, "Yeah." And Liz goes, "That defeats the entire purpose, son. That defeats the entire purpose of this." So yeah, I'm like, oh God, it's just dirty water then. You're not doing anything to clean yourself. All it is dirty water. And I'm like, you touch those desks at school and God knows what those kids are touching when it comes to each other and all that stuff. It's like, oh God.
How quickly before I have to start worrying about lice?
I don't know.
A year ago?
I never really worried about lice.
No.
It never really hit me. Nah, I never really thought about it. Did you think about it?
No, I mean, they do the checks every year at school.
Yeah, I remember.
But now the CDC, I believe, changed their guidelines on lice. Like, they don't even force you to send kids home anymore
on
at
lice?
the schools. Yeah.
Oh, man, I remember back in the day. They just
let them stay there.
Oh, but I think they still notify the school, the classroom. Yeah. Like, families all
but it used to be like a DEFCON situation.
When we were in elementary school, like that was the thing. Like you would rather have leprosy than lice. That was a big. You had to set your clothes on fire, or something like that. It was a whole big thing. They scared the bejesus out of you about life. Mary Kay Cabot coming up at 8:20. So I got a nasty text from a bunch of people yesterday after the Guardians game. This is a struggle, and I'm going to give you some credit here, and even Owen, I want to give some credit here because Owen's like, Ken, if you're going to put things on Stephen Vogt, you're going to call it a Vogt loss. You have to divide the Vogt wins. Well, shouldn't I just say that every win is a Vogt win? Shouldn't I just say that? Because if they're 74 and 71, and they're still in the wild card race, I know they lost last night, and people were upset because they said it's a Vogt loss because of Tim Herron being put into the ball game with a 3-2 lead. I don't think Tim Herron should even be in the bullpen to begin with. He can be in a different bullpen somewhere else in the system, but he shouldn't be in a bullpen in Cleveland unless he's cleaning it out. But since he's in there, they used him. They're putting it on Stephen Vogt. And I go, well, there is such a thing as you won 5 games in a row. These things tend to happen. You don't usually have winning streaks that long. 5-game winning streaks are nice, but that's a week of baseball games almost that you've won in a row. Kansas City's not the worst team that ever play the baseball games. Like, yeah, there's probably going to be some diminishing returns where if you took 3 of 4 out of the series, am I really cussing out Stephen Vogt and the Cleveland Guardians for taking 3 of 4 in the series? Now, I can be mad at everything in the past where, hey, you had yourself a 10-game losing streak before. You had yourself some problems before. You didn't make the postseason. Like, if they don't make the postseason, like there's things that we can get upset about in the past, but hey, you are playing good baseball right now. How much of it do I put on Stephen Vogt? And this becomes a grand scheme of things. 1, do I really count yesterday as a Stephen Vogt loss? 2, how much do I really put on Stephen Vogt for not making the postseason, Tone?
Yeah, well, as far as Herron goes, it's been like every other outing, he's given up runs. And when you're at this stage of the season and you can't afford any losses, and you look now, they're 3.5 games back, and does that mean they're 4.5 because of tiebreakers or whatever?
Yeah, there's another factor that comes into play, and that's what the Houston Astros are doing, who currently lead the West but have a horrible stretch coming up for them. So things could really
change.
Yes, and here's Stephen Vogt on why exactly he took Tim Herron and put him into the ball game in the 7th instead of like Eric Sabrowski, who ended up finishing off the ball game last night.
They're both equally as good. You know, Tim Herron's been one of our best bullpen guys for the last year and a half. Eric's been very solid for us, too. So you look at who's freshest, it just felt right. That was Timmy's pocket tonight.
Yeah, except for he spent a bunch of time in Columbus.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far.
Now, he's there because somebody had to make some money off his first pitch, so.
You want to go ahead and hit that for yourself, please? You want to go right on ahead and hit that for yourself?
Reckless speculation.
How many games are we up to?
5 lawyers. You ain't getting me sued. You're on your own.
How many games are we up to now that we think the suspension cost us?
Every one of them.
Yeah, anyone would lose, I'm blaming.
Every
you know
game
what?
that's happened
It's not
since it happened.
It's not a vote loss. It's a Clase A loss.
If you could ballpark the number, what do we think it's at right now? It's got to be within the range of what they are behind the wild card slot, right?
At least.
Yes.
Like if he just pitched exactly like he had pitched this year, I'm not even asking for last year, because last year never happening again. We were saying that at the time, and now we know definitively never happened again.
One of the best closers in the league. It's not like
so easily
he had fallen off that much league-wise.
I don't know what Korea's betting laws are. That'd probably be like maybe the Doosan Bears. We'll talk about that at some point.
Reckless speculation.
And I'm going to be conservative here.
I didn't clean out his locker room.
I'm going to be conservative here. It's cost us 4 games. But you could go even way more than that.
I'd say we're approaching double digits.
I know people will be like, you're letting the team off the hook. You're letting the Dolans off the hook. I'm just saying.
No.
I'm just saying, in this case, I think if you would told me before the season that there'd be a suspension for whatever reason and we would lose our all-star dominant closer, I'd say, that's going to probably by the end of the year cost you 10 games.
The only person I'm trying to let off the hook here in any way is probably Stephen Vogt.
Yeah. Well, that's because you can't. They beat the Royals 10-2 the other night, and that's a Vogt win, right? Because he makes the lineup, and those guys went and scored the run.
Time for stupid rhetorical questions.
Okay.
How good's the offense? Not very. How much do you need every run like it's a last breath while you're underwater? More than anything. So wouldn't it go to Stan that a guy who was still, I know that it was rickety here and there, would it still not go to Stan that a guy who at one point was who was the premier closer in the game, who is still one of the better closers in the game, would it not go to Stan how badly they needed him?
Yeah.
After, when did this happen? Early July? Mm-hmm. So wouldn't this go to Stan that they would need him very badly? So yeah, you guys are absolutely right. If this is on anybody, I'm going to put this on Emmanuel Clase. I'll put that on him.
If you're going last night specifically, I mean, Bo Naylor throwing a ball to center field with a guy who's already halfway to second base, and then that guy ends up being the winning run. That's probably more of a...
Well, you already know how I feel about Bo Naylor anywhere.
A nail in the coffin of that game than anything.
Yeah, I mean, we're just kind of waiting for Godot when it comes to him. But honestly, if we're going to do it with anybody, Tim Herron, okay, well, if you still have Emmanuel Clase, a guy who's getting blown up and exactly like you said, who was down in Columbus, a guy like Tim Herron, it's much easier to make a decision for Eric Sabrowski when you have Emmanuel Clase still with your organization. So, yeah, I'm going to put it on Emmanuel Clase more than likely.
It's just changed the dynamics so much, and we haven't wanted to dwell on it. We haven't wanted to doom them and their season based on it, but I think when the season is over, we'll look back and they didn't add players, they didn't add payroll, they slashed payroll, whatever. But they could have gotten away with all of that had they have just had their closer.
Yeah, I want to give Vogt a little bit of credit for being over 500 considering where we thought the season was going to go at one point. Matt on the road, you're next up on the Fan. Hello, Matt.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Not terrible. Go right on ahead, friend.
In all seriousness, maybe there's a little bit that you can pin on Vogt. Just earlier in the season, you could kind of look at his lineups and be like, "What are you doing with that 6 through 9?" But as far as there's so many external factors that mess with the season, where I just feel like you can't pin anything on him, and I almost feel like next year is going to be finally the year where you get a really good view on him, because I mean, you couldn't predict all the nonsense with Clase, all the nonsense with the rotation, Bidey regressing, you didn't know what you were getting out of Bieber, and then, you know, they just turned out to rehab Bieber just to trade him, and you know, I just feel like there's so much random stuff that, and I've seen it too, like I know you guys remember, you know, the artist formerly known as Fausto Carmona, you know, originally came up as a closer, and he was a disaster, and he ended up being a decent starter for a while. And, you know, just guys like Heron, guys like, you know, sometimes there's not cut out to be that closer role, and the Clase situation just sabotaged the whole bullpen, I feel like.
Well, I'm mentioning more. I mean, if we're talking about guys who could have been closers, Matt, thank you very much for the call. It's like, well, Cade Smith was the guy that people thought would be the closer.
Yeah.
And then Andrew Walter, the guy who's hurt, that kind of threw a wrench in everything, even though I didn't necessarily expect him to be up at some point this year. You go to the seventh inning, you bring in Tim Herron, it didn't work your way, and the guy's got blown up all year. It's not a good look.
Could he change his identity like Fausto and come back and be able to get back in the majors?
Go from purple hair to green hair or whatever.
I'll pretend I'm looking the other way. It don't matter as long as he can throw strikes again. But I think that this year has been a great test of Stephen Vogt, considering everything. And when you throw in the gambling stuff and stuff, I think that that's a huge test. I tend to agree with Anthony halfway. I don't think that they expected to be as good as they were last year. Now, I'm still critical of them for not trying to do what they could
that doesn't let
to
them off the
augment
hook.
this organization or augment this lineup from last year to this year. This next coming year, before I start to go ripping on Stephen Vogt, I got to see what their lineup's going to look like. If it's still more of the same, where it's more of nothing, which it probably will be, how much do I really put on Vogt? Because when we talk about it all the time in football, and when the Browns are building and when another team's building, I go, guys, they're not magicians. You can't just wave a magic wand over these guys and turn them into really good football players. Well, it's the same thing with baseball players. The only thing you can do is take a long baseball season and try to be patient and work with them and see if you can turn a decent ball player into a better ball player, or from a guy who's a platoon guy into maybe an everyday guy. And I think he can make an argument for some of those players. Mary Kay coming up at 8:21. Is Quinshon Judkins going to play on Sunday? We'll talk more about that coming up at 8 o'clock. Coming up in 5 minutes. They look good Sunday, but it might be too little too late for one guy in particular. And can I just ask you a question about why one person particularly struggles so much and why I think that they do that? Can I ask you that question when we come back? That question and Lima's answer at 7:21 on The Fan.
Anthony Lima for Floors with a Z. Fall.
lose to Kansas City 4-3. Royals scored twice in the top of the 7th. Lost up the Guardians' winning streak at 5 games. Don't miss the Kevin Stefanski Show, followed by Thursday Night Football. All starts at 7 o'clock right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
I'll give you one little reason here. One little reason. Mary Kay coming up at 8:21 this morning, by the way. One little reason. Tone. Going back to Andre Schmidt. They changed the extra point rule in 2015 to make it longer, to make the distance 33 yards. College kickers are already not good anyway because they're college kickers. So you have some good ones, but you have a lot of not so good ones. However, when it comes to the NFL, I think it was kind of like when you had extra points, there was a thing where you can kind of go through the motions and all right, this is basically a practice in so many ways. Because you see the way
pressure.
Like the way guys stand, it was almost like a formality. There are some guys trying to go make a block here and there, but it was just we're going to stand here and all right, there he goes, and we're going off to the sidelines and let's get ourselves going again.
You'd get up and walk out of the room.
Yeah.
I wasn't even watching extra points.
And so it almost became like a practice, and now, if you miss an extra point, it always looms large. Mm-hmm. If you were at home, think about it, when Andre Schmidt missed that extra point on Sunday, the whole stadium and everybody at home goes, here we go. I'm sure this won't cost us. Everybody had that thought. And you got to think, if you're the kicker, you can go, I'm fine. We'll put it away. I'm fine. I don't think so. And so, extra point is 33 yards. He missed a 36-yarder. If I'm not mistaken. God, it's point blank, it feels. Good God, just hit it. But I think that might mess with these guys' psyche.
Do you wish they'd go back?
No.
I do.
No, it's more entertaining the way it is.
I hate.
An overall entertainment.
And I said it at the time, too, so I've been consistent throughout on this. I hate that in this game that we love, we gave an outsized amount of weight on their every kicks, and we made them even more important by doing this, especially considering how we've talked about them since Monday. How have we talked about them? We've debated whether or not the coach should talk to them. If we're debating whether or not they're even a real football player, why do we want them to have more power? Why do we want them to sway the games?
I don't know. But first off, you said you want entertainment back on Monday. The extra points being longer is more entertaining. Missing extra points, the intrigue of missing an extra point, the possibility where it's they just scored this touchdown. It's 24-23, no time left on the clock. They could tie the before it was like a formality where it's was it John Carney who pushed the one, or was it Steve Carsey? No, it's not Steve Carsey. John Carney, I think, might have pushed one, but I'm not sure. You have every now and then a great few and far between. There would be an extra point that got pushed. But now, 24-23, last second, you got a field goal you got to hit. Mm-hmm. You better hit this extra point.
It is. Without that,
so
you're
I
right.
think it makes it more entertaining.
It is absolutely.
It's more frustrating, though.
It's absolutely more entertaining. The question is this where we want the entertainment? Do we want it on the kicker?
Well, you just hate kicking. Want it? You hate any form of kicking.
Or would we rather have it be the quarterback, the running back, the wide receiver, the corner? You know what I mean? That's the part that has bothered me since they changed the rule.
I think it's bothered you since the beginning of the show, is with that rule change and everything that's gone on. You don't like kicking. Let's just be honest. You don't like kickoffs. You don't like punts. You don't like field goals. I mean, you've made arguments before during Summer Hack Topics about getting rid of kicking in the game, even though the game's called football. Not make it take it ball.
I heard somebody, I wish I could give him credit. I heard somebody the other day saying, things change in sports, and then we wonder, why were we doing this a certain way the entire time? We changed college football drastically. We went to a big-time playoff. 10 years from now, we're going to be going, can you believe we didn't have a playoff ever? If they just took kicking out of football in 10 years, would people be going, we need kickers back in the league?
But I think I don't
think we would.
It adds.
I think we'd be awesome. We have teams. We have more plays where the quarterback impacts the game, not the kicker.
I think it adds more intrigue to the game, though. I think it adds more of you don't know what's necessarily going to happen here. It can go either way. Kicking is a wild, wild strategy. Like, there were people going, I can't wait until they build that dome, and then they don't have to deal with the winds anymore. You watch. We're going to have a kicker problem in 2029.
Oh, God.
We'll have a good football team with Lenore Sellers as our quarterback, and we're going to be going, I can't believe we lost because of another different kicker.
I can give you takeaway kickoffs, right? That's not, it's still a scoring opportunity, but it's not like, every play's a scoring opportunity. But field goals are actual scoring opportunities. I mean, you're not kicking a field goal unless the result of the play is either points on the board or not points on the board, right? Mm-hmm. I can see how you could want to get rid of kickoffs and just get the game rolling, get the game going along. But I think kicking still is because it is every time it's a scoring opportunity. Punting is not one of those things, right? Maybe you get rid of punting too. I mean, they do it in little kids because kids can't punt yet, right? So
right.
They just walk it off.
The fields.
They say,
not in our league.
They just say, well, it's a set amount of yards or whatever and walk it off.
Real quick to your point about kickoffs, big change in week 1 compared to last year's week 1. It went from 50% of the kicks will return in week 1 to 75.6%. So there was a real their rule change absolutely changed it to make it a more entertaining play.
Well, and teams are starting to see that the metric is, hey, let's make them return it on us instead of just giving them the yardage, right?
They walk off punts in your league?
Yeah.
So how does that work?
I don't punt.
They walked off punts in your league.
It's 25 yards.
Oh, okay.
They don't walk off punts in our league.
I don't do it. It's a wasted play. This is developmental time.
You don't want to develop the punter?
Not when it's 4th and 20 and we're at our own 21,
We don't punt.
Develop the punters.
And you're the one running the defense. It's not a wasted play.
We'll arm punt it if we need to.
It's not a wasted play. I'd rather not have to play defense in our own red zone to start the football game.
I got a novel thought for you, Ken. Maybe go get some yards.
Just go get some yards the old-fashioned way.
I don't run the offense, bub. That's a conversation for somebody else. But I know they're listening, so they're more than welcome to call you up at 216-474-0092. But you got to go through Mitch first. All right, Jim and Perry, you're first up with the Fan, and then I got to bring up the Andrew Berry thing. Go ahead there, Jim.
Good morning, guys.
Hi.
So I absolutely hate them moving the point of the PAT attempt back because I think you have a game where you have millions of dollars worth of players on the field, some of the best athletes in the world, and you're going to get a game come down to a kicker making $500,000 because he can't make a 30-yard kick. Just move the 1-point conversion to the 2, and then if you want to go for 2, move it back to the 5. I have literally never said, hey, look at that kicker. Like,
even
you know
Dicker?
What I mean?
Even Dicker the kicker?
I disagree. I mean, Phil Dawson is beloved here mostly because we weren't very good and he was the only offense we had.
I was about to say, he was beloved here. He's a kicker.
But, Jim, there's plenty of $500,000, $600,000 cornerbacks who end up playing in Week 13 that cost plenty of people games.
That's why I'd let the kickers gamble. Let them make some more money on the side.
Okay, well.
Let's really spruce up the kicks.
Can you imagine?
Reckless speculation.
Let this play out so we don't get sued, please. Thank you.
My God.
Can you imagine in a couple of years, like, let's say we are good, we go to the playoffs, and we don't, like, second quarter, we score a touchdown, we don't make the kick. Can you imagine losing by 1 point?
Well, that is how we're going to lose.
I can.
That's exactly how we're going to
I can't imagine any way you could lose. I can imagine us losing that way, Jim. Thank you very much for the call.
We already know the script. We're going to lose. That's exactly how we're going to lose the AFC Championship game.
I mean, my whole childhood was based on what happened when I was either a small child or before I was born, and the way they lost those games. I can imagine any way they possibly could lose. Yes. I'm sorry. Mary Kay coming up at 8:22. Lima, rookies played well on Sunday.
Yes, they did.
Played real well. What does this draft class, or what could this draft class do for Andrew Berry's reputation, if anything?
Yeah, I thought about this a lot.
Please.
Because this was the rare class even I was excited about before they played a down of football. So I was like, whoa, all right. Gave Andrew Berry some top draft picks that weren't traded away, and it looks like he might actually have a chance. And this is, by the way, Mason Graham has not really been a big topic of discussion. We're going to let the all-22 nitty-gritty football analysts break it down. But, Kenny, you saw some good stuff out of him in the second half. Mm-hmm. Certainly, especially down by the goal line. Yeah. Joe Burrow had no chance.
I didn't see anything that was really concerning.
Yeah.
Now,
just the first drive people brought up. But
DeJuan Jones, third-year player, there's a chart going around, but they count the holding calls. And I thought the one holding call wasn't really a holding call. I thought it was on Sunday. But either way, they counted against us. So his chart's not really that great. But, I like DeJuan, and I like to make excuses for him. So maybe I'm going to find a point in the season where I can't make excuses for him. Hopefully it doesn't come to that. Go ahead.
And Swessinger was awesome, obviously.
Great. Cat's ass whole game.
Samson, I don't think in his career he'll ever get the amount of touches that he got in week 1. I think circumstances dictated that. But you saw a nice spark. And in fact, people keep talking about him making guys miss. How about him after contact moving piles forward? Like, I didn't see that necessarily happening. That wasn't a part of his draft profile. So I think part of that is really exciting. So I think this might be the draft. We're 1 week in, and who knows, going to be injuries and everything.
Do you think it makes a difference to the fans, though?
I do, yeah.
I think it can be too little too late for the fans.
Well, this is what I'm getting to. I do wonder because Kevin Stefanski and how he directs an offense, that's a big part of him as head coach, right? But it's only one part of it. When you look at the totality, when you look at the big picture, how is Kevin Stefanski as a coach? We talk about how he's dealt with, various quarterbacking situations that have handicapped him. How has he done with it? How has he done it with this guy? How's he done it with that guy? How many different quarterbacks has he won games with? What was he able to do with Joe Flacco? But all of that is just one aspect of being a head coach. Same as Andrew Berry. One aspect of Andrew Berry as a GM is drafting players. But in the end, what we are going to say when it comes to Andrew Berry is, how do we feel about you as a GM? You're running the organization. It's you. I know Paul DePodesta, whatever, but it's you. It's your organization. And that's why I still think wins and losses are going to matter for him this year.
So how many, wait a minute. So now we get back to the old question of how many wins do they have to get to where he's safe? If you get to 7 wins, I think everybody's safe.
Listen, guys, his rookie class could be really good, and they could still lose a crap ton of games.
But if they win like 5 games, I don't think he's safe. I think
don't
that
either.
A lot of people are going to look
either.
At least certainly not with the fans, because I think a lot of people, and this is a rash generalization, so this is going to sound unfair to some people, and it is, because that's what fans do, is I get you had one good rookie class. That's 1 out of 6. That's what they're going to say. I still don't trust you.
Yeah, odds are probably against him hitting the next class.
They will say, I'm glad you got lucky. Now let's get somebody in here who knows what they're doing. That's exactly what's going to be said.
And I
think it's too little too late with the fan base.
And Kenny,
here.
I point to his predecessor. John Dorsey, in 2 different stops, showed he could pick some damn good players.
He did.
Some all-time players.
But there were more. See, I don't know what
the
hit rate has to be.
In 2 different spots.
He made a terrible mistake because he just wanted too much power. He wanted to control everything. And when you put Freddie Kitchens in charge, that's what he wanted, and boy, that's what he got.
That's another aspect.
It ended up being a tremendous mess.
Kenny, that's another aspect of being a GM.
If he did not hire Freddie Kitchens, then I think maybe John Dorsey would still be in charge with the Cleveland Browns for crying out loud, and Baker Mayfield would probably still be here.
Yeah.
And we would be having some of the conversations that we've had over the last 4 years, and my hair would be a lot blonder than gray of what it is right now. But let me point this out, that even John Dorsey, there will be critics who go, hey, you know what? You still took Chad Thomas, who is much more interested in being Rick Rubin than he was ever being John Randall. You also had a guy that he took in Kansas City that he had to cut in the 3rd round.
But the hits were bigger.
After the draft.
Hits were 10 times bigger.
But you're exactly right. You're exactly 100% right. You're 100% right about that. The hits are bigger. He's known for success. He's known for drafting good players.
In 2 spots.
Andrew, I could give you everything I could about wide receiver trades and getting value back
some
on
have been
things.
good, some have been bad.
Quarterbacks as currency. But all that really sounds like is excuses because the Browns haven't been that great. All it sounds like is excuses about why people should stay employed instead of bona fide results. That's what fans are interested in, and that's what fans have been so frustrated with over these last few years, is that I keep hearing about process, and I keep hearing about things that don't matter because the scoreboard says differently at the end. So, yeah, you only win 5 games, or I might even say 7 games. Depending on who's playing QB, depending on who's winning, who you win against, when you win, all those things are a part of that equation. But if you win and you're still under 500, there's going to be plenty of people who go, great, you got lucky in one class. Goodbye. It's the way they're going to feel. And after 6 seasons, can I fault them for that?
That's been a long time.
8:20, Mary Kay, Quinshot Judkins. He going to play on Sunday. I want to talk about him with you coming up at 8:01. And Lamar Jackson should not have apologized. And Lima thinks there's a problem with me saying that. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, about last night in 5 minutes on The Fan.
Anthony Lima for Van Scoy Hair. Well, I've talked in depth about all the different solutions Van Scoy has right here in Northeast Ohio to help awaken those dormant follicles that are getting their Z's for many years, for maybe even a decade. Good news is they've got all the proven solutions at Van Scoy. We know about PRP. We know about laser treatment. We know
with slowdowns from Pershing. Heavy congestion eastbound on 90 from Crocker to South Marginal. This is Joe Checkeye for 92.3 The Fan.
Listen to 92.3 The Fan on the Odyssey, iHeartRadio, and TuneIn app.
So much can happen around the globe that we never hear of.
I really share in our fans' disappointment, frustration. Honestly, I'm embarrassed.
They've been through some tough battles, right? They know what the playoffs looks like. This team's been battle-tested in the playoffs.
He's a piece of crap. The kid, he sucks. He's sucked his whole career.
I got rumors about him. He couldn't please his wife, so now he's divorced.
Put a damn winning team on the field.
Now, the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima give their thoughts on what you might have missed about last night.
Well, the Guardians' win streak came to an end last night in a 4-3 decision to the Royals, despite the Guardians having a 3-2 lead into the seventh inning. Tim Herron giving up back-to-back hits to give the Royals the lead, including a play that featured a pair of off throws from both Bo Naylor and Stephen Kwan that led to the Royals tying the game. Manager Stephen Vogt, after the game, talking about the key play that led to the Royals matching it up.
Threw it to second a little bit high. Looked like he didn't quite get through it. Threw it a little bit off his back foot. So, we had two offline throws on that play.
I mean, the Naylor throw was just exasperating. I was just like, come on, man. But the Kwan throw, I thought, honestly, he was going to nail that guy at the plate, even though he had a head start from second.
I agree with you. When it goes back to Naylor, real quick, J.N. Menor, longtime listener, great guy, said that he counted 8 games that have been costed by Emmanuel Clase's absence. 8 games. So if you put those as wins, where are we at in the wild card? In the wild card?
Yeah.
Maybe? Yes. Depending on how the other teams do.
Yeah, sure.
But you're like in the wild card. So guess what, guys? Found a scapegoat. Emmanuel Clase. And you know what, Bo Naylor, because he's not very good at anything, it seems.
Going from that over to the Browns yesterday, we had a number of players.
Seamless transition.
Speaking on the matters heading into Sunday, including the Ravens' anniversary celebration. Joe Flacco, former Ravens quarterback, current Browns QB, talking about how it's unique to still be playing while the Ravens have the celebration going on.
It's probably just not too often that you get these opportunities and there's a guy that's still playing. They take a little time in between things, and it's crazy that they've been around. The Baltimore Ravens have been around for 30 years now. It's kind of crazy to think about. That'll kind of make it a little bit more interesting, a little bit more fun. There'll be ex-players there with some eyes on the game, and it should make it fun.
We kind of asked this question between us earlier in the week. Are we okay if Flacco's a part of the celebration while he's still the Browns quarterback?
Well, he answered it perfectly earlier in the show where we played the audio.
Yes.
Mitch, it's like he says, yeah, I'll go out there and go see what's happening, because obviously I'm sure he's going to be a part of it, from the Ravens' perspective. But then he's like, I got a football game to play. That's what I have to do. So I imagine that'll be fine. I do question. I wanted to ask you this, Ken. What's the better mentality for this game? Because if Baker was here, Baker would be mouthing off all week.
Yeah, he would.
About this and how this was unacceptable and whatever, and we want to crush those guys. Is it better to be like that for this game, or is even keel, steady Eddie, Joe Flacco the way?
I think even keel, steady Eddie, Joe Flacco is the way. If Baker Mayfield would have won a Super Bowl with the Ravens before and was in the same position as Joe Flacco, he'd probably be saying the same thing. I mean, what are you going to do? You going to sit there and rip on the Ravens if you're Joe Flacco? I'll rip on the Ravens all day long, and I have all day long over the last couple of days. But I don't plan on doing anything ever with the Ravens or with the fans of Baltimore. Joe Flacco, yeah, he's part of their culture no matter what now. You might as well be on decent terms. I think he should go out there and try to win the football game, and I think he is. Also, I'm looking at YouTube Live right now. I want people to comment on Mitch's backwards hat.
This is the first backwards hat I've worn in the on-camera era, yes.
I want to know if they think it's a good look or if you look like somebody from the Goofy movie.
I would have to see the Goofy movie to know what you're talking about.
Mitch could not be Colin Cowherd's quarterback, I'll tell you that much.
Do I want to be Colin Cowherd's quarterback, though?
Does he still do that?
The
backwards hat thing?
He's not a fan of that?
I feel like he's worn one at least as a running gag on his show at least once.
I have I haven't seen it in a long time, and I actually like Colin Cowherd, much to a lot of people's chagrin. I've always been entertained by the guy. I don't mind if he's a part of it. Again, it is part of his history personally. It's a weird situation where it's like, hey, I gotta be good to the people that I'm playing with right now and the fans that I'm playing for, quote unquote, right now. But also, I don't know. We have to be somewhat realistic about it. They're not the enemy to him. He's 40 years old. This is the twilight. If he was 33, And they're just like, they just got rid of my ass. Like, yeah, maybe I expect a little bit more fire. Do you
think there's part of him that has scoreboard over Lamar Jackson? Lamar has the MVPs, but
he's got the Super Bowl.
You haven't won the Super Bowl since I lost the job to you.
That's a hell of a point. You think he secretly thinks that way?
That's how I would.
Well, speaking of Lamar Jackson, we have the clip from him yesterday. He talked about, his tutelage under Flacco his first year. Also talked about the incident involving him and a Buffalo Bills fan last Sunday, and he kind of gave actually an apology to the Bills fan for the shoving.
Yeah, Eric talked to me about it. I mean, I believe everyone seen what happened. Don't get me wrong, I didn't try to, it just happened. Like, I got pushed. I'm like, what? I thought I was like outside. I wasn't even thinking about me being out there on the field, but my apologies to that, whoever that was. I don't know who it was. My apologies to him. Like, just chill next time. Just, you can talk trash and stuff, but keep your hands to yourself, man. That's all I can say.
My first thought was Lamar has absolutely zero need or reason to apologize, and he should not have apologized. That idiot drunk, I'm imagining he was drunk. I hope he was drunk. At least that'd be somewhat of an excuse, but there's no excuse. The idiot in the stands shoved him. He shouldn't have shoved him. He got what was coming to him. And Lima had a problem with that answer for one very simple but astute reason.
Well, I wondered from a larger perspective, like, does it bother Browns fans just how likable Lamar is? He seems like the most likable guy that you're supposed to hate that I can ever remember.
I like that Lamar is so likable because it keeps me grounded about the rivalry. If Lamar was somebody I didn't like, if he were a villain, then I think I would probably say some really irresponsible things about the Ravens. And maybe even their fans. But I like Lamar so much, it's like, I hate the Ravens, and I don't like losing to the Ravens, and I get frustrated when he makes plays against us, but it's like, hey, man, I'll talk some serious trash about the Ravens and their organization, but Lamar's separate. You leave Lamar alone. I really like Lamar. Do you feel the same way about him?
I root for him in the playoffs.
Do they have a problem
that's
with
where I'm at with it. And same thing, by the way, Josh Allen. These guys are likable. Like, now I'm to the point where I'm sorry, Owen, I hate Patrick Mahomes. He's likable too.
Yeah.
I hate him because they've won so much. It's not real hate. Like, this is different from, guys in especially the NBA. Like, we hated certain guys on certain teams in the NBA.
Oh yeah.
I just don't feel that way about some of these quarterbacks.
I went to a weird place with Al Horford at one point in my psyche. Went to a real bad place with him.
Didn't we want to try and get him in the offseason when Boston was unloading all their guys?
Yeah, but that's years later. Yeah. I'm talking about like Hawks, Al Horford.
Yeah.
Well, I was in a bad place with him. But I have a lot of respect for his play. Situation. Yeah, and I thought it was like, didn't I think it was his girlfriend at first or something? Like it was. Yeah. I was a younger man, and it was silly at the time. By the way, the reactions are coming in. Can I count these as brought to you by Scheibin Jewelers or no?
Yeah,
on
go
YouTube.
Ahead. It's Cleveland's premier jewelry store, by the way.
Chad says, definitely Max vibes going on right now. I was thinking says, good looking. It says you look good with your backwards hat on right now. Somebody was mentioning booger sugar. Can't talk about that right now. Reddit Works says the strap on Mitch's hat is under some serious stress. Michael R. says, could not care less about Mitch's hat. Stop reaching for ways to be cruel to him.
I do have a big head.
Welcome to the show.
Do we have to reach for ways to be cruel to Mitch?
Somebody said they don't care about the hat. They're looking for your neck. It's good stuff. Watch us on YouTube Live. Continue.
This is why all the shows are just ready to pounce to get on the cameras ASAP.
I'm doing everything I can to not pick my nose on camera because we used to do it a lot. Dead serious.
And flicked it.
Finally.
A lot of flicking.
Finally, we have the Kelsey brothers on New Heights yesterday suggesting a new kicker potentially for the Cleveland Browns.
How many games were lost from kicks this weekend? Missed extra points, missed field goals. I mean, could Shedeur kick? If we wanted Shedeur to get on the field, he might have a better chance getting up there kicking.
Shedeur
he can't do worse.
Now I want to see if he can kick just for the fun of it.
He can't do worse. I mean, that was wild.
Is that how he gets on the field this year?
I'm not as excited about that as I was Newsweek agreeing with Anthony Lima. Yes, Newsweek.
Okay.
There was an article in there online that said they said that Shedeur showed leadership by trying to pick up, being the one teammate that tried to pick up Andre Schmidt.
Come on.
I swear
I did not see that.
God. I swear to God they said that, and I go, you got to be kidding me. I go, well, Newsweek. I don't necessarily go to Newsweek for my NFL takes.
I didn't know they had a sports section.
Yeah, their sports is the best. Vanity Fair actually has a great sports section.
Actually do.
That's it for about last night.
Better Homes and Gardens, actually, their MLB playoff preview.
That's where Stephen A. got us start.
Is that
Better
right?
Homes and Gardens. Yeah. Mary Kay
Maybe
Cabot.
you should get us finished.
Mary Kay Cabot at 8. I like Stephen A. I like Mary Kay Cabot.
Just screaming about potted plants.
Okay, well, if you think I'm going to sit there and call anybody else out for screaming, brother, that ain't going to happen. Screaming about potted plants. It's a good look, especially in the spring. Quinshon Judkins, is he going to play on Sunday? Huh? We'll find out, because, ladies and gentlemen, you might want to cue up the music, because Fatlock's about to walk through the door, because it's Sue L. Robinson time. Ooh. Coming up in 5 on The Fan.
Anthony Lima, 4.
Texas, and 3.5 games behind Seattle for that final wild card spot. Don't miss the Kevin Stefanski Show, followed by Thursday Night Football, starting at 7 o'clock tonight, right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
All the Browns and NFL news you may have missed at work. The Afternoon Drive. Weekday starting at 2. 92.3 The Fan.
I read the name Sue L. Robinson yesterday and went, well,
oh, good.
We're right back at home, aren't we? Get me my tighter fitting sport jacket where my gut kind of hangs out from underneath. It's time to walk back on into the courtroom. We'll talk to Mary.
Sue, come on.
We'll talk to Mary Kay Cabot coming up at 8:21 this morning. Quinshon Judkins met with the NFL yesterday.
The fact that we have Sue Ann Robinson.
Sue L. Robinson. Sue L. Robinson.
Sue L. Robinson hotkeys.
It's been a moment.
Sue, come on.
Was I thinking of the Brawless Wonder?
Yes, you. Sue Ellen Mishke.
Sue Ellen Mishke.
The O. Henry Candy Bar heiress.
I don't know if Miss Robinson wears a bra or not. I don't know. I'm referring to the Seinfeld.
Could you imagine if you were driving down the street and you just saw a woman wearing a bra walking down the street? You'd probably wreck a car too. My God. Anywho, right now we are kind of in a holding pattern, figuring out what to do or what they're going to do with Quinshon Judkins. He's meeting with the NFL right now. Now, this is something that a lot of people, again, I think maybe they need brushed up on because I don't think they remembered how it went years ago when it came to Deshaun Watson, where these things are actually negotiated between the Players Union and the NFL. Sue L. Robinson, I'm sure she'll have her initial finding, and then Roger will get his say, as we certainly know. It went from 6 games to 11 games in 2022. So I'm not really sure.
Well, we're going to get, at the very least,
I hope to get some clarity coming up at 8:21 with Mary Kay as best we can. I'm not sure how much she may know right now.
Yeah, my guess is
probably knows a lot more than us.
Again, it feels weird and a little shallow to compare to Mike Hall's situation or any. They're all different. Every situation has a difference, but
these are dropped charges.
Yeah, we know.
These are dropped charges.
Yeah, but he wasn't at practice yesterday.
He was not at practice yesterday.
Here's Kev. He was asked about it.
Here we go.
Is that today related to discipline or is it personal?
He's not here today. Not going to get into specifics, but expect him here tomorrow.
New York meeting with the commissioner.
Not going to get into specifics, but I expect him back tomorrow.
He's not going to say anything, do you?
No.
You're not going to get any answers from Kevin.
I'm always in the category. What's the difference? Just if he's in New York, he's in New York. Just tell people.
Well, if you they ask if he's in New York, and he's not in New York, you go, he's dealing with a family matter or a personal matter.
He doesn't want any follow-up.
Yeah, it's just what happens is it leads all of us to speculate. So as opposed to if you just said, like, we all realize he's got to meet with New York or he's got to meet with the NFL at some point. So why not just get it out of the way? Either way.
Now, an NFL spokesperson told Mary Kay, and again, she's going to join us at 8:21, that there's no timeline to wrap up his review of that arrest, which, again, he's not charged. He was interviewed by league officials. This would have been yesterday afternoon. That's why he was not at practice. So he's expected to be at practice today. I think he's expected to be at practice tomorrow. I don't know. Like, as of right now, does he or does he not hit the field? As of right now, he hits the field. Now, I don't know how much he can help us out with when it comes to being on the field here. 10 snaps?
Oh, you think
20 snaps?
You think this week?
How much can he know of the offense right now?
I assumed he wasn't going to play this week.
Well, Kev was asked. He only gets 2 practices. Is that enough time?
Really hard to say. We need to see him and see where it is. So as coaches, we're just going to take it day by day.
Did you assume he wasn't practicing this week because of disciplinary actions, or did you assume he wasn't practicing because they might not be comfortable in his role in the offense just yet?
Well, I think that's why you would have him practice, if you could have him practice, is to get comfortable in the role. I just think even this week is a little early. Like, if you would ask Joe Flacco, would you be comfortable with having Judkins back there in protection? Like, if you had to pick up a blitz against the Ravens, no, I'm not comfortable with that.
But does he need to know plays?
I think he's just
a running back. Run left, run right, block left.
Yeah, but you also saw in the opener, Sampson had to pick up some of the pressure situations. And what kind of shape is Judkins in?
Aren't you still using Sampson in those third down back roles, right? Where you're either picking up pressure or you're swinging out and releasing and doing the things that Sampson did and had, like 6 catches.
So you're saying Judkins would just come in and, I mean they don't want to...
Rocket Sanders, a guy I've never heard of.
They don't want to telegraph the situations either. Like, there have been times even last year where I thought they telegraphed when Nick Chubb was going to come in and carry the football before the injury, and then there were 11 guys in the box and he had no chance.
Well, we were just talking about Andrew Berry and his reputation at 720 and with the rookies. Like, this is a big part of the reputation here. I mean, again, you got 2 second-round picks over the last couple of years. It seems Mike Hall might be able to go coming up on Sunday against Baltimore, and it'd be nice to see him be able to go on Sunday against Baltimore. But, I mean, you had 2 guys at the beginning of seasons not available to you for off-field issues, whether or not it's charges dropped, charges kept, whatever, not available to you. And we're going through the Sue L. Robinson conversation all over again, where, frankly, just because she may make a ruling here, and there's no timetable according to Mary Kay about when they're going to do it, just because she makes a ruling doesn't mean anybody's out of the woods. Because then Roger has to figure it out. Which what would happen now when it came to Deshaun Watson, and some of this is from memory, that I feel that Roger probably looked at the temperature of the room when that first happened, and then made his decision based on that. Because it's not like this is not a court of law; it's a court of public opinion. It's a court of optics, and the NFL being an extremely conservative league that does not want to have any sort of issues out there, and these are very serious things. Roger Goodell doesn't want any of that, so if Sue L. Robinson takes a look at it and goes, and I don't know what she's going to find, to be honest with you. I mean, a lot of this is still like in the dark, and if she says 6 games, 4 games, no games, whatever, it's like, well, we got to figure out what Roger is going to say about it. Because really a lot of this, again, all stems to his situation with the Ray Rice stuff years ago, where he took a lot of heat for what TMZ found that they said they couldn't find or they didn't have. And when that came out, it was everybody going after Roger Goodell. And there's no way he don't remember that. And so now it's nobody's above the shield. We're not going to do, there's nothing that's ever going to do it. Everything's about protecting the shield. That's what they call the NFL logo. Everything's about protecting the shield. And so they're going to come down very heavy on anybody when it comes to this sort of thing. So I don't know what they see. I don't know what they have. And it's just kind of figuring out, all right, is he going to be available to us? It's just gotten to the point, I think a lot of fans are going, all right, is he going to be there Sunday or is he not going to be there on Sunday? Because if he is there on Sunday, then I can judge him. If he's not there on Sunday, well, then I can judge him and Andrew Berry both the same, and I can judge Andrew Berry even if he was there on Sunday, because if he ends up not being a good running back, well, you picked him. But then you pick him, and then you pick him apart if he's not there on Sunday and say, why did you take this guy? You should have known this, that, and the other. So there's a balance there. Because if you're talking about saving reputations over here, Tone, well, he's a second-round choice, for crying out loud. And I do think that this is a bit lost, where the feet need to be held to the fire going, hey, you know what? Mason looked pretty decent. Carson Swessinger looked great. You know, you had Dylan Sampson looked pretty good. Out of the backfield catching passes. Oh, wait, where's Quinshon Judkins, by the way? That's a pretty big missing piece.
Yeah, I will also wonder how big of a deal, like we would talk about like a quarterback missing all of training camp. That would be an issue. Like to this day, doesn't Brady Quinn talk about time that was missed and how significant that was? The question will be, this will kind of once and for all tell us whether it matters at running back. Because running back has always seemed like a plug-and-play position. And these guys, you tend to hope that they stay in shape, especially at that young age, that they stay in shape. So will this cost him at all? Or if we see him this Sunday or the following Sunday and he just looks awesome, what does that tell us about, whether or not they needed to be there in training camp?
I think a lot of us, I think you're right. I think a lot of us look at it as it's just like, hey, listen, a lot of it doesn't change. It's plug and play, and that's the way you go. But I think some of it is lost on the nuance of, hey, man, like if you're trying to run an offense, you still need to know where some certain things are. And as a running back, you need to know which way to go in so many ways. Now, I think we can simplify it, but I don't think it's just turned into, okay, take the ball and go that way. It's not that. You got to be able to pick up blitzes. You got to be able to block. You got to be able to do some of the things that are going to be able to help out your offense. Like I heard Nick and Jonathan talking about it. It's like that's why a lot of people just want to write off Jerome Ford, and I think eventually we'll get to the point where the Browns write off Jerome Ford. But right now, you've taken a third down back to replace a third down back because you don't have Quinshon Judkins. So I got 2 third down backs and a fullback out there playing running back for my football team. And that's a problem if we're trying to run the football here. I mean, that's what Rocket Sanders is. So I'm playing old-style football just to try to run the football. Like, you're not going to have much of a running game until you know you have any sort of a certified threat. Dylan Sampson's fine. Dylan Sampson 3rd and 6. That's what he's supposed to be. Jerome Ford really should always be 3rd and 6. He should not be out there on first down unless you got a guy hurt or you got a guy not available to you. So right now you're in a problem here where you don't even have your entire offense scoped out. So as good as we were with Joe on Sunday, I think it does add to it a little bit where, hey, you know what? You saw what was missing with the running game there. Joe had to take that into effect as well, which again goes to stand where that's why you don't put rookies out there too soon. That's why you do keep a veteran hand out there to start off the season and to get things going. Because there's a lot of other players, not just how we need to see the quarterbacks, this, that, and the other. You have a lot of other young guys that are beholden to a guy who knows how to conduct an offense. And Joe Flacco, sure as hell, he'll make a mistake, obviously, but he sure as hell knows how to conduct an offense. We got Jason, 901, Layson Joyd, as I call him. He'll join us at 901 from The Athletic. Got to ask him a little bit about the Guardians, okay? We got to get a little bit about the Guardians in there, but we got a lot of Browns with him. But is Quinshon Judkins going to be able to be available to the Browns on Sunday in Baltimore? Mary Kay Cabot, she joins us in 5 minutes on The Fan.
Real estate market is changing fast, and a lot of people just don't know how to get a handle on their situation, especially if they're looking to unload a property, if they're looking to move, if they're looking to take care of loose ends. The good news is Ryan Young, Keller Williams Greater Metropolitan, good buddy of mine, can help you out in your time of need. How can he do that? How about an instant cash offer? That would sound pretty good, wouldn't it? Before you list your property, and a guaranteed buyout to ensure you're not getting stuck with a home. Well, they can do that. You know what else? They can also
3.5 games behind Seattle for that final American League wildcard spot. Guardian shortstop Gabriel Arias missed his second straight game last night. Inflammation in his right wrist. The good news, it appears he will not have to go on the injured list. Don't miss the Kevin Stefanski Show, followed by Thursday Night Football. All starts at 7 o'clock tonight, right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Coming up on Sunday, the Browns play the Ravens, and I think it's a classless, tasteless gesture from the Ravens hosting their 30th anniversary celebration.
Disgusting.
And Mary Kay Cabot, who joins us right now on the fan hotline. Mary Kay Cabot, I'm not yelling at you, I'm yelling at them because I don't give a damn that they say that they had it planned since March. You had 4 months to reevaluate plans. I don't give a damn what they said to you, Mary Kay. Not a single damn.
He's not buying it. He's
don't
just
care.
not buying it.
Well, I'm with you guys. I think they should have changed it.
That's right.
I think they had plenty of time to change it.
They had 4 months, Mary Kay. They can kiss 4 months worth of my ass.
Wow.
Thinking that they couldn't have changed their plans.
Well, and I wrote this in my column the other day, that for someone who lived through that time 30 years ago, for someone who was in that stadium 30 years ago for that last football game of the Cleveland Browns, watching all those fans hugging and crying, watching Steve Everett go around embracing those fans and not wanting to leave, knowing what it did to families, and just to have the heart and soul out of Cleveland ripped right out of this town. And the thing that bothered me, one of the things that bothered me during that time is I don't remember, and maybe I just missed it, but I don't remember any of those politicians, some of whom will be on hand on Sunday. I don't remember them beginning any of their celebrations or statements at that time with a nod to Cleveland Browns fans and how much they were hurting over here in Cleveland. I don't recall that. Again, maybe I missed it, but that was one of the things that was, I think, hardest to take for Browns fans, was to watch the cheering and the gloating with no recognition of the fact that Cleveland Browns fans were just absolutely devastated in the same way Colts fans were in 1984. So that part bothered me, and I just don't think that this needs to take place on Sunday. I just think someone should have stepped up and said, let's do this another week.
Totally 100% agree. I do think it's kind of a... I think personally, Mary Kay, like I know what you and Tony have done, and you guys have made great cases here. I mean, let's put aside all the, well, I work for this company, they work for this company, da-da-da-da-da. I know what you guys have done to make sure, Art doesn't get in the Hall of Fame. And I know that I think the NFL and I think you voters are also very cognizant of how the fan reaction would have been if Art was alive to get in the Hall of Fame, and then even posthumously getting in the Hall of Fame. And I think that when you have Art Modell's son and all these people there, I think it's a way to kind of stick it to us going, okay, you're never going to let our guy in the Hall of Fame, but this is what we're going to do to you here. I feel personal about that. That's how I feel about it. Maybe I'm off the mark there, Mary Kay. I'm an emotional person, but I take it as a disrespect to the fans.
Well, I don't know. I can't say if that's the motivation, if that's sort of the, middle finger to Art not being in the Hall of Fame. I was not in those rooms when Art was a finalist. I was not yet in those rooms, and I know Tony has done a very good job of stating his case and standing up for Browns fans and explaining what went on in those years. I was not in those rooms during that time, so I don't know if this has something to do with that. But I just think this is insensitive to Browns fans. And there will be plenty of Browns fans even in that stadium. And there is a decorum, there is a humanity that you need to operate with. And I'm sure that some other teams in the NFL would never even think of doing something like this to the Cleveland Browns fans. Forget about the politicians, forget about everybody else involved, and let's just think about the Browns fans whose lives were drastically changed during that time, not knowing if they were ever going to get the Browns back, and also knowing that this had happened to them in 1984. I would feel the same way if the Colts tried to do a celebration of Bob Irsay moving the Colts out of town in the middle of the night in trucks and moving vans, and how their marching band stayed back in Baltimore and played for however long in protest of what he did to those fans in Baltimore. I would feel the same way if the Indianapolis Colts did this to Baltimore. It's just not right. And I really wish they would have changed it.
So what an interesting spot for Joe Flacco, because he has a chance to go up against that team that partially celebrating some of his moments, I'm sure, because he was a Super Bowl winning quarterback. But at the same time, it's a team that said, you're not good enough for us. They went in a different direction. They drafted a young quarterback who is now going to be starting on the sideline. You got a chance to talk to Joe Flacco. What are the emotions going to be like for him?
I think the emotions are going to be running really, really high for him. And I don't think that he even realizes the full scope of what that's going to be like for him in that stadium on Sunday. And as you mentioned, and Joe talked about this yesterday, it's going to be even heightened because of that celebration and what's going on in that stadium. The fans are going to be so fired up. And then now knowing that Cleveland is unhappy with this celebration, I think that will even take it to another level. But for Joe, I think he's going to be experiencing something that he's never, ever felt before, and that's going back to the place where he played for 11 years, took them to the playoffs 6 times, 3 AFC championship games, a Super Bowl MVP. He's going to have family members there, friends there. He had all of his 5 children while he was a member of the Baltimore Ravens. And they did kind of cast him aside. I know there are family members of his that are going to be very, very emotional in that stadium that day. So I think it's going to be a big, big day for Joe. And I know he's going to have a lot of Cleveland Browns who are going to be rallying behind him to try to win this game.
Mary Kay Cabot with us on the fan hotline. What is the latest? Where do we stand with Quinshon Judkins right now? Could he be available Sunday?
I think there is a chance he can be available on Sunday. I believe that he will be back at practice today because no decision has been made by the NFL yet. They haven't decided to suspend him. So maybe that's coming today. Maybe that's coming tomorrow. I don't know. I was only told by the league yesterday that there is no time frame for the decision on what the league is going to do. Because of that, and because he's not going to be on the commissioner's exempt list, since there are no outstanding charges at the moment, or there won't be any outstanding charges for this incident, I do think that there's a world in which he can be available to play on Sunday unless the league steps in and makes a decision right away. So watch for him to be at practice today is what I'm guessing.
Man, that would be interesting to see him available this week. What would that mean for Sampson, who obviously was a huge focal point of the offense last week?
Well, he was a huge focal point of the offense, but he wasn't necessarily a huge part of the running game. I mean, he had 12 carries, but they still were not able to really run the ball the way they wanted to with Dillon and Jerome. So I think what this means for Quinshon is hopefully for them, hopefully for him, they'll be able to get that running game cranked up. They'll get their blocking schemes figured out. They'll have him running the power running game behind that offensive line. But once again, this was a defense that finished number 1 in the NFL against the run last year. So no matter who's back there, it's not going to be easy, but certainly they'll have a much better chance to make some hay on the ground if Quinshon can play.
Mary Kay with us on the show. Did you agree with keeping Andre Schmidt for Sunday?
I agree with developing a young kicker. I think this Cleveland Browns football team is moving towards its second wave of a Super Bowl window, and they're sort of straddling 2 worlds right now between their first Super Bowl window and that group of players and their second Super Bowl window and all of those guys that they drafted this year and are bringing along. And I think that perhaps Andre is in their second group of guys that they want to move forward with over the next 4, 5, 6 years, and I don't think they want to give up on him too early. So I understand that part of it. But for this particular week, I probably would have used another kicker.
So you hold on to him, but you put a new kicker in there?
Yes, I probably would have done that. I don't know that there are that many great kickers out there that would represent an upgrade for you this week. But when you miss a 33 and a 36, I think that I would have done something to feel a little bit more confident about that aspect of your game. You don't want to go 0-2 because of a kicker or largely because of a kicker. You don't want to go into Baltimore and not have an opportunity to win that game because you're going to miss the game-winning field goal. I probably would have done something for this week while still keeping an eye on developing your first-year kicker.
33 and 36. 69 yards of missed field goal. Mary Kay joining us right now. So, Mary Kay, obviously it has been many years that they have been starving for a kicker. Do you think they've gone about it the wrong way, or have they tried everything they possibly can and it's a crapshoot in general?
Well, I think they've tried a whole lot of things, including drafting Cade York pretty high. So they've tried a whole bunch of things, and then they thought they had the problem solved with Dustin Hopkins, and that 1 year turned out to be sort of an anomaly, and it just didn't work out. I, however, might have gone into the season still with Dustin Hopkins. I was kind of surprised that they didn't do that, but that probably would have been shaky too. I think they've done a lot, but obviously it hasn't worked out. I wondered if they would think about signing Jake Moody after he was released, and he's still now out there on the street. So who knows? Maybe you bring him on to your practice squad or something like that right now. I do think they need to have some backup plans.
Do you like the Jerry Jones? Jerry Jones does talk tough a lot. Do you like that Jerry Jeudy was talking tough about the Ravens secondary?
Yeah, I mean, he only said 2 words. Just, the question was asked, what challenges do they present? And I think he said no challenges. But a little bit of trash talk coming out of both sides of these rivalries. I mean, you're going to expect that. You're going to get that. We got it last week when the Bengals and the Browns played each other. We got plenty of it. So, no, I don't really have a problem with it. It's what these guys do. It's how they get their game faces on.
All right, we talked about the rookies and obviously how excited we are, and you mentioned that window, Super Bowl window that could be associated with this next class. Could it just take one class for you to feel differently about Andrew Berry and his drafting acumen?
Well, this is certainly shaping up to be a really, really nice draft, the 2025 draft. When I look out there, I see a lot of core pieces that they can take forward over the next 4, 5, 6 years. And if these guys continue to get better and live up to what we all think they are going to be, then I think they have set a really nice foundation for the future. And I thought Mason and Carson had really nice games. I thought Harold Fannin, Dylan Sampson, these guys are going to be the future of the Cleveland Browns. And I think it was a really strong draft class for sure.
Mary Kay Cabot on the Fan Hotline. Super Bowl window, really?
Well, they're aiming for the next one. And the key piece, of course, for the next one is the quarterback. And that's what a lot of this season is going to be about, scouting the quarterbacks in the draft. And if they can get that piece, like I said, they're still in the middle of 2 worlds for Super Bowl windows. But if you can get that quarterback when you still have Miles and Denzel and David and Greg and Grant and some of those key pieces around, and then you're bringing along the Carsons and the Masons and the Sampsons and the Judkins and this whole crew, then you just might be able to get away with something over the next few years while those younger guys kind of grow up and grow into themselves. But certainly, yes, there are 2 different worlds going on right now.
Mike Hall going to go on Sunday?
I'm going to say yes. I don't know for sure. I'll know more after we watch practice today, but I know he's certainly getting closer. So this is either his next big step up into practice, or it's an opportunity for him to go out and get a number of snaps in the rotation, maybe, 12, 15, 17 snaps, something like that. I think we'll know a lot more today.
All right, Mary Kay, we thank you very much for the time. All the very best to you and yours, as I always say, and I always mean it. And we'll talk to you again next Thursday.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Mary Kay Cabot on the Fan Hotline.
Say Judkins could be available. Could be playing this Sunday.
I think there were 3 surprising things that were said there. Developing Andre Schmidt. 4 to 5 years. Can you develop a kicker?
He's in the UFL last year.
Well, how do you develop a kicker? Like, you can develop, like I brought up earlier, Mahmoud Diabate. You can develop him. You can develop DeJuan Jones.
Work on some kicking.
You could develop maybe even Zach Zinter. How do you develop a kicker? I'm all ears.
You coach them up.
You
coach them up.
You coach up everybody. What do you mean by that?
Well, you got to coach them
But you develop everybody else, right?
You got to coach them up. You got to front load the contract. You got to coach them up.
You develop everybody else, right?
How do you go about developing him, Anthony?
You work on all the finer things.
What are the finer
points?
What are the finer points?
Mechanics. That's why you have special teams coach, right?
Are you going to embolden his chance? And what are those mechanics, Anthony?
You'd have to talk to a special teams guru. Get nitty gritty with it.
Who would that be?
Bubba Ventrone.
I can't get Bubba Ventrone on the show. I don't know if Bubba Ventrone ever kicked anything.
Yeah, I remember when he kicked, yeah.
Which it's weird because I don't like people go, when's Bubba Ventrone going to answer for this? I go, I don't, what is he going to do? I don't know if he can make if Bubba Ventrone has given up punt return yards and kick return yards, which he did, by the way, that's what I charge him for. The kicking, make your kicks. Okay, is that it?
I would like to think there's more science to it than
5
that.
years.
I will tell you, I have a young kicker on my team, and we always tell him, visualize it.
She said 4 to 5 years.
I don't know if they're doing that.
Visualize what? What is it?
The whole making it happen.
I'm not trying to be difficult here. I'm really not.
Trying to get the ball in the middle of the two posts.
Coach him up. Coach what up?
There's the left one.
Visualize it.
There's the right one.
Visualize what?
Gonna need to angle that ball in the middle of them.
Be the ball.
I mean, you laugh, but
you wouldn't kick yourself.
There's a big psychology involved here.
I would, but it'd be weird if I was out there in either one, the 11-year-old game or the NFL game. It'd be weird. They'd go, "Why is that fat bearded man out there?"
Super Bowl window.
Get the ball right through that window.
Oh yeah,
right through it. Super Bowl.
You're gonna want to see a Super Bowl. You want to get to it.
Super Bowl post here to the left. Super Bowl post to the right. Get it in there.
Visualize yourself in the Super Bowl.
Does anybody? When do we know we're opening up a Super Bowl window?
When we get the dome.
Think about it, because I'm going to ask it. It might be a short question.
Super Bowl roof.
Might be a short question. That's coming up at 8:40.
Climate controlled.
It's coming up at 8:42 on the Fan.
Ball.
480 east from Stearns to 71, and 176 north from Spring Road to West 14. This is Joe Checkeye for 92.3 The Fan.
There's only one place for a full recap of practice in Berea. Overtime with Jake Volnick. Weeknights at 7. 92.3 The Fan.
Mary Kay with us on the show. Did you agree with keeping Andre Schmidt for Sunday?
I agree with developing a young kicker. I think this Cleveland Browns football team is moving towards its second wave of a Super Bowl window, and they're sort of straddling two worlds right now between their first Super Bowl window and that group of players and their second Super Bowl window and all of those guys that they drafted this year and are bringing along. And I think that perhaps Andre is in their second group of guys that they want to move forward with over the next 4, 5, 6 years, and I don't think they want to give up on him too early. So I understand that part of it, but for this particular week, I probably would have used another kicker.
Got to tell you, I got to disagree with Mary Kay. If he ain't gonna be out there, if he ain't gonna be out there, just get rid of him. Or if he is gonna be out there, if he's gonna be on the team, throw him out there and see whether or not he's gonna make the kicks. The only way you're going to make him better is what? Come on, guys!
Now wait a
help
second.
Me out. Somebody,
wait a second,
if you're
Ken.
a kicker out there, if you've been in special team, John Scott from Chagrin Falls, call us up, please. You were a kicker. Anybody? How do you develop a guy like that? I'm so sick and tired. I talked about Shedeur Sanders for 5 weeks on straight. How can I get so tired of talking about kickers? It's a make or miss league when it comes to kickers. You either make the kicks or we find somebody else. Kyle Shanahan agreed with me at one point, which, by the way, he said that the head coach snapped at him. You know the head coach of the Washington football team was at that time, don't you?
That?
His father, Mike.
Oh, yeah. I remember him.
Yeah.
Now,
let's make the kicks for crying out loud.
Why is it that crazy, considering this is the team that drafted not one, but 2 backup quarterbacks?
I'm not going to pray over pro sports, but, man, I really, really hope he just becomes Adam Vinatieri here. It's not worth our time. Now it's got to be worth my time. It has to be worth the listeners' time. It has to be worth everybody's time to talk about him, to listen about him. He needs to turn into Adam Vinatieri. I've never wanted to be wrong so much in my entire life. I so hope, I really, really hope we get to a point 5 years from now where you guys are playing this audio and you're laughing and he's every bit as accurate and every bit as good as the guy in Baltimore that we really can't talk about right now. I mean, you can talk about him if you want to, but you can't go pick him up. He's suspended right now. I really hope, because, man, developing him? How do you develop him? I got no good answers from anybody. My emails are wide open. The phones are, I'll open up lines. The phones are wide open. Please help me. Help the Browns. Please. Well, we could have, I love Mary Kay. Sit him for a week, and then we could bring in Jake Moody. So what are we going to do? We going to hope Jake Moody misses the kick so we can put Andre Schmidt back out there? Why do I bring in Jake Moody if I expect him to miss kicks, and then I bring back Andre Schmidt, who I also expect to miss kicks?
Then you can tell Andre, see, everyone misses kicks.
But isn't this just shining a spotlight onto why this whole position is so silly in professional sports? Like, doesn't this get to the heart of, you're sitting here going, how do you develop a kicker? Now, there are kicking camps. Guys do make money teaching kicking. Are there long snapping camps?
People make money putting, did you ever see the lottery books where you can put the signs of the zodiac and then you pick your lottery numbers based on those books? People make money doing all types of things. That doesn't matter. Kicking camps? What does that matter?
So you're saying
the old Ouija board out and let's find us a new kicker.
You're saying these are fraudsters?
No.
The people running the kicking camps?
When you say people make money by running kicking camps, I go, plenty of people make money doing plenty of different things.
No, I'm saying,
I don't know if it's going to make them any better.
I'm saying the whole role is
Would you send
to
Mason
develop,
to Andre Schmidt's kicking camp right now?
I'm saying the role.
216-474-0092.
What is the role of a kicking camp?
To become a better kicker.
To mold.
And probably get your picture taken with the kicker.
To mold and develop kickers. So they think there's some sort of science to
Dumbest conversation we've had in 2025. Think about the territory that
sounds like you agree with me. We should just get rid of kickers. Stupid.
Ask me again on Monday if we miss kicks. Ask me again on Monday. Because it's just asinine. This is becoming silly. We're talking Super Bowl windows, too. All right. If you have... Okay, this is where I don't disagree with Mary Kay when she says this. You got the Super Bowl window thing she said? All right, I'm sending you on a goose chase here to go find it. Because she said the thing about the Super Bowl window, and I'm not trying to rip on Mary Kay for it, because she is literally telling us what the Browns are trying to do. So don't go after Mary Kay, go after the Browns, which you guys have no problem on doing that. You guys can go after the Browns on it. Because that's why you signed Myles Garrett. Isn't that right? Here's Mary Kay when she talks about Super Bowl window. Mary Kay with us on the show. Did you agree with keeping Andre Schmidt for Sunday?
I agree with developing a young kicker. I think the Cleveland Browns football team is moving towards its second wave of a Super Bowl window, and they're sort of straddling two worlds right now.
Okay, stop it right there.
First Super Bowl window.
Okay, so they technically did have you guys are going to side-eye it and think that this is insulting to your intelligence because of what they were last year. We all know that they thought they had a Super Bowl window with who a few years ago, and then they moved out of that Super Bowl window, and then that window closed. How close you came to it, you only got to the divisional round. Boy, that was a great weekend. So they are not in a Super Bowl window at all. But you have Denzel Ward, and now you really have Myles Garrett. There's no getting out from that contract. That is, it's not Deshaun debilitating, but it's a debilitating contract to get out of. So now you have Myles lock, stock, and barrel. Well, right now, I think if you're talking Super Bowl, your quarterback is in college and getting ready to play in 2 days. So now I have to, and it's been done. It happened with Joe Burrow getting to a Super Bowl. He didn't win it, but like in the first couple of years, you got to do that, and then you have to have confidence. Oh, this is going to be tough. You have to have confidence in that young guy to be able to take that team, and then immediately, if they are all veterans, think about this. Look at what Patrick Mahomes does. You have to immediately, after your team has a Super Bowl window with the rest of the players on the team, you have to be ready to take over and go through roster transition. That's what makes Patrick Mahomes already in the argument for one of the three best quarterbacks ever. Not the best, but one of the three best quarterbacks ever. Because they go to the playoffs, they go to the Super Bowl, and anybody who watches the NFL with any sort of eye knows that should be a team that should be around 9-8, 10-6, somewhere in there. He should be going to the playoffs, but he shouldn't be going as far as he's going. That's what makes him right up there with Joe Montana and Tom Brady already. So already, by doing what they've done with those contracts that they have on players that they have right now with veterans, if you think I'm full of it, you need to tell me right now, Anthony. I think I'm losing you over here. If you plan on going anywhere with the players that you have with those contracts, you better make sure that Lenoris Sellers or Garrett Nussmeier or Drew Aller or John Mateer or any one of these quarterbacks that we all talk about, they better be somewhere in that outrageously good category. Or you may just run into another problem with that guy. Unless the rest of your drafts are good. And, okay, Carson Swessinger is really good so far. And we have hope for these rookies. So maybe these rookies will be coming into their prime by the time your rookie starts to really take over quarterback. Your rookie quarterback starts to really take fruition in the next couple of years, and then maybe you can melt it. Man, this is such a hard target to hit. I hope everybody's hearing what I'm saying, and it just sounds more and more implausible with every syllable that comes out of my mouth. Is it not? You don't care what I'm saying. You stopped paying attention minutes ago.
I just thought we were talking about developing kickers. I don't know where the rest of that went.
It's a Super Bowl window she's talking about. It starts with a kicker. It ends with, what are we doing? We don't even have our quarterback on the roster.
Conversation closed.
We don't even have our quarterback on the roster. In all honesty.
Well, we're not a kicker away.
No, we are certainly not a kicker away.
Might have been in week 1.
Kicker away from being 1-0. But in the moral scoreboard, we are 1-0 on the moral schedule. All right, we got Jason. You think Jason can answer how you develop a kicker? We got people who think they can develop a kicker. I want to hear from you guys coming up soon. 216-474-0092. And Jason Lloyd from The Athletic. What are they planning on doing with all these guys? Ken Carman, Anthony Lima. Take us with you to work on the free Odyssey app. KC Roofing. What do you
Cavs beat writer Tim May joins Baskin and Phelps Friday at 1. Cleveland's Sports Radio. 92.3 The Fan.
Take your ass whooping. Take your ass whooping.
Is that what we're going to do on Sunday?
Your ass whooping.
You going to just line
your ass whooping.
Line up and take our ass whooping.
Now, do you want the Browns to be down 2 scores in the fourth? Would that make you feel better?
No, why?
Take your ass whooping. It seems like the only storyline that has emerged out of that game is whether or not Baltimore can protect a 2-score lead. Because Harbaugh, now they bring out the numbers. He's like historically bad with 2 scores.
Why is that?
Because I think you have to be really good to get 2-score leads all the time to begin with. And he has the most.
That's true. Jason Lloyd joining us from the Athletic.
Take your ass whooping.
Hello, Jason.
What is going on over there? Is Lima talking to his kids again?
Ass whooping. We're just talking about a little thing called a Super Bowl window, Jason.
What?
You better believe it. Super Bowl, Super Browns, bitch. Welcome to the
show. Oh, my God. We're off the rails.
We are. All right. Here we go. First things first. You're an historian in so many ways because you're a writer. Okay?
Yeah.
Do you take it as a slight to Browns fans that the Ravens are having their 30th anniversary celebration before the Browns game against the Ravens?
10 billion%, yes. I wrote about this. It doesn't run, I think it runs Friday. I wrote about this yesterday, though. Yeah, absolutely it is. And how could you take it any other way? They have 8 home games this year. You got plenty of opportunities to do this. Why are you doing the one game? I said it's like inviting your ex-spouse to the wedding, and it's the spouse who never got over the breakup and is now, got rotten teeth and living in a halfway house with an ankle bracelet. And like you're inviting them now to your wedding, and you're basically taking them to the honeymoon suite.
So basically this game is Friends in Low Places by Garth Brooks?
That's a great point, yeah. Yeah, no, there's absolutely no reason for it. I think it's despicable that Baltimore would do this. And I actually use it as an opportunity to remind everyone, hey, guys, everyone hates Art Modell. I totally get why. Al Lerner is just as culpable as Art Modell, and it is a joke that there is a statue of that man out in front of the practice facility, and they named the address of the stadium after him.
Well, when they get the new stadium, they can name it after somebody else, and then we could. Is it actually the curse of Al Lerner, and we don't even know?
I just think Zach Meisel and I, Doug, 5 years ago on the 25th anniversary of the team leaving, we pulled the story together of like, everybody hates Art. Everybody knows, and we know why everybody hates Art. Obviously, he deserves the stain on his name, but Al is just as culpable. And I don't have time to relitigate the whole thing, but the moves that Al was making in the background, the fact that he went to Cincinnati and did the same thing with Mike Brown that he did with Art. He took his plane to Cincinnati and he picked up Mike Brown and he took Mike to Baltimore because he was trying to get the Bengals to Baltimore. He was just trying to get a team to Baltimore so that he could backfill the team. He didn't care what city or where. He just wanted an NFL team. I think it's despicable what Al Lerner did. I'm sorry. I know he's dead. I don't mean to speak ill of the dead, but you can't change history. And how this got glossed over and how this was deemed okay at the time, I have no idea. But Al Lerner is just as culpable as Art Modell is for the Browns leaving in the first place.
Now we're talking some trash. Here we go.
All right, well, who in your mind was culpable for the Browns losing in week 1? It's been basically the kicker, the focal point of the discussion all week here in Cleveland. Is that accurate to you?
I mean, you hate to put it on one guy, but certainly he bears the brunt of the blame for it. I thought it would have been a mistake to cut him, though. I agreed with the idea to bring him back. I said that Monday night. Mary Kay and I did a show together Monday night. I said, you bring him back. I think it's foolish. If you have him here all summer and then you cut him after one game, what are you doing? It's one game. And, yeah, it was devastating. Yes, it's horrible. It's one game. He's a rookie in his first game. You're going to cut a guy after the first game?
Is he really a rookie?
Yes.
He's played. He's kicked in professional football before.
Oh, okay. So the UFL is the same thing as the NFL?
No, it's not. But he's not a rookie. Not the quintessential rookie. It wasn't like he was kicking. It wasn't like he was kicking in New Mexico State last fall. I mean, come on.
Now he very well may be cooked mentally. He might be done, and we'll probably know that Sunday. And if he goes out there Sunday and he makes a mess of himself, okay, well then you can have the conversation of maybe he's just.
Oh, so let's cost ourselves 2 games.
Where's this team going, Ken?
I would like it to go in a trajectory towards 2-0. How can I say where this team's going if he goes out there and costs me another game? I could say, well, we could have been going in a great direction at 2-0, but you guys all wanted to keep a guy who's going to cost us 2 games, so now we're 0-2. So now we can go ahead and use the excuse of, well, where was this team going? That sounds very convenient to me, Jason.
Well, I don't think anybody who was realistic about where the Browns are at and where they're going thought that this was a playoff.
You know it'd be a hell of a start if they were 2-0, though.
It would be, yeah. It sure would be, but they're not. And listen, Jerry Judy's just as culpable as the kicker is. Catch the ball. 4th down, catch the ball. Hit you right in the hands.
Fair.
And the interceptions are a little fluky.
Little.
It is what it is. Those were some of those, it's unfortunate that they bounced the way that they did. But the 1 4th down hits them right in the hands. Catch the ball. You paid a lot of money to catch the ball. There's no reason to drop that.
So we saw one game of Flacco, and some have kind of criticized the offense and Stefanski for going conservative. I think you're also managing a game from all angles and doing your best to prevent the amount of drives that Joe Flacco is going to get. As dominant as you were against him, you keep giving him the ball back. Eventually, he's probably going to break through. He is pretty good. What did you think of the way that the offense moved?
I thought this was a return to Kevin Stefanski type offense, 2 tight end sets, a lot of screens, a lot of play action, quick game. We did not see. I think that we will eventually see more of deep shots. I was a little surprised that there weren't any. I don't know if that was a week 1 thing. I don't know if that was a trying to limit a mistakes thing. When you take the reins off Joe is when turnovers might come. I thought they were, obviously I don't put those 2 interceptions on Joe at all, but I think they're trying to limit some of the mistakes, not put the defense in a bad position. I thought for a week 1 it was fine. There was nothing overly flashy about it. There was nothing overly sexy about it, but I thought they called a great game to try and keep it close, keep it low scoring, and try and win it at the end, which they had every opportunity to do. That's how this team has to win games. Play defense. I think they'll run it eventually better when Judd comes back. I'm not a Jerome Ford guy at all. But run the ball, play defense, don't turn it over, and try and win it at the end. That's their best formula to try and win games this year.
I think that's pretty fair. Do you think they kind of have to do the same thing this Sunday, or what do they have to change up?
This is such a tall task this Sunday for a variety of reasons. I don't know how much. I don't think anybody on the field cares about this reunion thing. You heard from the players in the locker room yesterday; they didn't seem to care. I don't think anybody in Baltimore cares. This is old guys like you and me who get worked up about this. But it's sort of back when the Cleveland championship drought, and I remember saying at the time, Cavs players don't care about that. They didn't grow up here. It means nothing to them. They want to win a championship because they're professional players and they're trying to win a championship. Well, it's the same thing with this. I don't know if the players necessarily care about the history and everything, but you're going into a place where Baltimore. I remember Zach gave me the numbers a couple years ago. I don't remember what they are, but Baltimore hardly ever loses at home in September. It's nuts what their record is at home in September. And obviously coming off the loss last week, they're going to be, you're sort of walking into a hornet's nest. I think it's the same thing. You can't turn the ball over. So you might see a game plan very similar to last week where you're trying to keep Joe reined in. You're trying to avoid mistakes, eliminate putting him in positions where he may turn the ball over. You got to play great defense. You got to create turnovers, and you got to hope for a little bit of luck.
Is a good rookie class enough for Andrew Berry to fortify his spot at the top of the organization?
You mean this class he just drafted? Mm-hmm. These rookies this year? See, I don't think these guys are in danger of getting fired. I think it's been now. They have to trust that Jimmy's not going to make an emotional reactionary decision, which he's done in the past, but I think he's trying to move away from that. nobody is operating as if jobs are in jeopardy. You don't trade down from 2 to 5 if you're worried about your job. And if you're going to fire these guys, you got to fire them coming off last year. 3-14 is ample reason. 3-14, Deshaun, is ample reason to blow everybody out if that's what you want to do. I don't understand why you would bring everybody back only to fire them now. It would have to go completely off the rails. 0-17, nobody shows progress. Everybody regresses. I just don't see why you would fire them now. If you were going to make that decision, why wouldn't you have made it last year? So, promising start for the rookie class. I wrote about that after the game. I thought it was great. You can see why they liked some of the guys that they liked. I think everything that we hoped out of Harold Fannin, out of Mason Graham, you kind of saw. Schlesinger, you kind of saw. Sampson had moment. Everybody had their moment, right? Everybody had sort of flash moments of, okay, there it is. Okay, yep, that's why. Yeah, okay, that'll work. And so this is a year about putting that together. But I don't see this as a make or break year for them, because that would have been last year when you are in a contention window last year. Like, that's the thing everybody keeps yelling every year the Browns are rebuilding. That's not true. For 7 years they tried to win. It turns out they weren't really very good at it. But for 7 years they tried to win. From 2018 to 2024 they tried to win. And they had a losing record. Like, it's pitiful. But now you do have to sort of rebuild this thing. And that's why you have 12, what is it? I think 12, right? 12 rookies on this team. I think it's 6 undrafted rookies. You've got 10 picks next year. Like, yeah, you got to turn over the roster. And that's sort of why I advocated for trading Miles at the time, because where's this team going anytime soon? Now, when I was saying trade Miles, I had no idea that Jacksonville was going to be so insane that they would give up everything that they gave up to move up 3 spots. So that part worked out great. And I thought Andrew Berry knocked that trade out of the park. I don't know how you could look at that and see anything else, unless Travis Hunter becomes a two-way Hall of Famer, and maybe he does, and the Browns blow every pick, and maybe they do. I don't think there's a GM in the league who would have turned down what Andrew Berry executed on draft day for that trade. I think every single GM in the league would have taken that, especially when it's not a quarterback that Jacksonville's trading up to get.
So what do you say to those who then say, well, they were trying to win for 6 years, they weren't really good at it. What's the point of keeping everybody who was around for 6 years that weren't really good at winning to try to win again?
I think the quarterback wrecked the entire window. Is that too, like, everyone says you always blame Deshaun. Well, yeah, I blame Deshaun.
I blame him, yeah.
They gave him I gave him $230 million guaranteed, and he wrecked the entire franchise. And whether it was through injuries, performance, whatever the reason was, I don't care. Like, I don't think he was very effective. I didn't think he was very good when he was healthy. He had a couple moments here and there. That was it. If you want to blame injuries, blame injury. It doesn't matter the reason. It didn't work. And it wrecked the entire franchise. It wrecked the entire window. And we don't have to relitigate the Baker wars, but if you play it out and Baker stays, I don't think that they win a Super Bowl anyway. And now we're having the argument of, well, is he good enough to get you where you want to go? But that's neither here nor there. The fact is, the reason why they weren't very good at winning games when they were trying to win games is they made the biggest gamble in NFL history on a trade, and it blew up on them. And it wrecked everything else that they were trying to do. So now they've got to sort of sweep out the pieces, which they're in the process of doing, and they got to start over. And if you don't have faith in these guys to do it, I'm not going to argue with you. Like, I get it. I get why you say that. I also think Jimmy sort of put his hand up in March and more or less admitted that the Deshaun thing, he was the one at the end pushing. Excuse me, which is why he's kind of giving these guys a mulligan. Because I think he does believe in them. And is there an overwhelming positive track record of success? No, there's not. But I think that he sort of sees it for what it is, that they took a massive swing at the most important position because they didn't think they were good enough at that spot. And it didn't work. So now you have to figure it out. And it hurts and it sucks. And you come on here every week and everybody's going to scream and yell and holler about these guys stink and these guys can't evaluate and these guys can't coach. But in the macro, when you get out of the week to week and you pull out and you look at the macro, I think that's why they've made the decision to keep them. And I think that's why they're going to try and do it again with these guys.
Is there a way the Guardians can have a good season without making the postseason? What a reaction that was.
Yeah. No, just because of everything that's going on with Ortiz and Clase, and it's been a sucky year for them. And some of it was self-inflicted. You go all the way back to the Winterfest and the Guards Fest or whatever, that they're coming off a ALCS appearance and then they scrap that. And I totally get why they traded Jimenez. I completely understand from a financial standpoint why they traded him and why they made the Naylor deal. And all in a vacuum, all of this stuff makes sense. But when you're coming off the ALCS to have this type of season, no, it's not a success if you don't make the playoffs. And I don't think I've never gotten the sense since May or June that this is a playoff team. It hasn't really felt like one. And then when you throw in the Ortiz stuff and you throw in the Clase stuff and what a mess that's been, and the fact that baseball won't clear these guys but won't charge them either. Like I don't know what's going on, but it's kind of weird that they took the best closer in baseball off a team in contention and they haven't really done anything with him since. So it's been a miserable season all the way around. But no, I can't sit here and say it's been a successful season if they don't make the playoffs.
So you do believe in the end of all this, you do believe you can develop a kicker?
Here's what I'll say about that. I don't know how much time you got. Here's what I'll say. I don't understand in a league where everything is decided on the margins, right? And these guys spend 18 hours in their office every single day. And half the games in the league, give or take, come down to 3 points or less. Why are there not kicking specialists on every NFL coaching staff across the league? Why? And this, I'm not trying to knock Bubba. What does Bubba know about kicking field goals? What does Mike Prefer know about kicking field goals? Why? In Baltimore, to my knowledge, Baltimore is the only one that had sort of a kicking specialist on staff. And there is a stat. Well, Zach and I have stat guys at The Athletic who send us these things. And our guy sent us this stat earlier this week. I'll try and find it real quick while I talk. But the Browns field goal kicking and extra points since 2020 is the worst in the league. It's 31-32. It's among the worst in the league. Kevin's record, I got it here. Kevin's record in one-score games with no missed kicks, okay? So I guess in this case, one-score game would be 7 or less. 15-6 in one-score games with no missed kicks. That's fifth among 41 coaches. When they have a missed kick, it's 8-15. Mm-hmm. How much better would the Browns' record be over the last 5 years with just a little bit better kicking? Not even elite. Not even Justin Tucker before he went crazy. But just middle of the pack. How much better would they have been just with middle of the pack kicking? I don't understand. You've got all these kicking gurus that run these camps, right? All these college guys go to these camps and everything and work with these. Why aren't, and everyone says Phil, and Phil probably didn't want it. Phil didn't need the job. Phil doesn't want the headache. But there has to be, I don't understand why every team doesn't go out and recruit a kicking specialist to help these guys, because I just don't know what special teams coaches actually know about kicking field goals. What do they know? Has Doug Van Trone ever kicked a game-winning field goal in his life?
I imagine no.
No. So that's the part I don't understand, where every team is always, they spend 6 days a week, 18 hours a day, seeking advantages on the margins. That seems like a pretty big one that everybody ignores. And then they throw him out there to kick a game-winning kick, and the guy misses the kick, and then they cut him, and they move on to the next guy. And I just, real quick, I remember talking to Phil Dawson about this. I wrote a story on this a few years ago. I called Phil, and I'm like, why is kicking so bad today? And Phil said, no, kicking is better than it's ever been. He said the expectations are just not realistic anymore. He said when I was coming up, Gary Anderson, Morton Anderson, these guys were 75, 80% career kickers, and they were legends. And now we expect every kicker to make every kick, or else they're cut the next day. And Phil said, if I was coming up now, when I was coming up, I would have been cut. They wouldn't have kept me around. I'd have been cut after my rookie year. So you just have to exhibit patience. But the NFL is not about patience. There's nothing in the NFL that exudes patience or screams patience. A guy misses 2 kicks in his first NFL game, and everybody wants to cut him. So can you develop kickers? Man, I don't know. But I do know that I don't think that they invest enough into the kicking game in the NFL, given how important it is and how many games are decided on last-minute kicks. I just don't understand why teams don't invest more into that rather than just send these guys off on their own at the end of practice and have them kick a few times. It just, that part of the NFL makes no sense to me at all.
Jason Lloyd from The Athletic on the Fan Hotline. Jason, thank you very much for the time.
All right, see you guys.
Layson, Lloyd, Athletic, Fan Hotline. Tone, now, Fan. No? Go.
The Fan, 2020 Sports.
podcast app, search our names, and hit the follow button to get every minute of the show.
Your way and on your time. Joe Flacco heads back to Baltimore as it's an AFC North showdown.
We get to go in there when they're having some people back and more eyes on you. It'll make it more interesting.
This is the radio home of the Cleveland Browns. 92.3 The Fan.
So you do believe in the end of all this? You do believe you can develop a kicker?
Here's what I'll say about that. I don't understand, in a league where everything is decided on the margins, why are there not kicking specialists on every NFL coaching staff across the league? I'm not trying to knock Bubba. What does Bubba know about kicking field goals? What does Mike Prefer know about kicking field goals? In Baltimore, to my knowledge, Baltimore is the only one that had like sort of a kicking specialist on staff. The Browns field goal kicking and extra points since 2020 is like the worst in the league. Kevin's record in one-score games with no missed kicks, 15-6. When they have a missed kick, it's 8-15. Like, how much better would the Browns' record be over the last 5 years with just a little bit better kicking? Not even elite, not even like Justin Tucker before he went crazy, but just middle of the pack.
Should we get a kicking specialist then?
Let's go. Why not?
Can you develop a kicker? I want to know. And if you believe you can, how do you do that? I want to know. Somebody tell me.
Wouldn't that be something only people that understand the intricacies of the kicking world?
I think that's precisely why you need a kicking specialist to answer all of these questions.
Then where is the kicking specialist?
It does sound like Bubba Ventrone's the guy.
Where are the kicking specialists at? Where have all the kicking specialists gone? I need to know. I really hope. I had a little bit of a fantasy during the break.
A kicking fantasy.
I had a kicking fantasy, I swear to God.
Oh, spicy.
I was sitting there staring at the computer looking at some of the stuff.
Is a T involved?
No. And I thought, I can imagine a world where Andre Schmidt lines up a 47-yarder on Sunday and hits that field goal. Record this and be ready to pre-play it. I imagine Sunday where Andre Schmidt lines up, kicks a 47-yarder to win it, and then it's all, hey, I had faith in him the entire time. And like trying to make a joke. Because I think that now that people know that, hey, they're going to hold on to him and they're not going to move on, there's definitely well-meaning Browns fans out there, and it's not that, like, some people get all, because the wildly cynical get involved here and they go, you guys are a bunch of sheep, you're a bunch of idiots. No. You convince yourself as time goes on, because you probably played sports, you convince yourself as the week goes on that when you're going up against a big opponent that you are a double-digit underdog yet, that you're going to convince yourself that there's a way to win the game. That's fine. That's what makes you a fan. That's what makes you listen to this and do all this. And I'm starting to see a little bit of it in the best intentions of even the media out there, where it's like, well, it's kind of crazy to cut a kicker after 1 week. It's not necessarily the biggest thing, or the most done thing. I don't think it's that crazy in 2025 anymore. But they didn't cut the guy. Okay, fine, just hit the kicks, because the difference in developing a kicker is whether or not he hits the kicks. So if he goes, think about this. So he missed an extra point and a field goal. So he was 2 for 4 on Sunday, right? If he's 3 for 4, but he misses the biggest field goal of the afternoon, the last one, has he been developed? Is he developing? He's 3 for 4. Last week he was 50%. Now he's more than that. That's developing. Yeah. How will you feel?
The only question I would have, though, if we would operate, I know you've calmed down some of the language since Monday, but if every team everywhere operated...
Well, what was the language? I didn't call him a bad guy. I just said I would move on from him.
Yeah, you said you'd move on to him. Okay. Why? Because you said it was a make-or-miss league.
It was a make-or-miss league,
And because what? There was no prior record, right? There was no established success before in the NFL. But if every team operated the way that you were talking on Monday, no kicker could ever have an established record unless they made them all right out of the gate. Like, you would weed out all the guys that would miss to start out their career. They'd all be weeded out. They'd lose their jobs. We wouldn't have enough kickers.
That's a good point. It's a very good point.
Well, they'd weed them back in eventually.
Yeah, we'd weed them back in.
Okay.
Yeah, because you weed
them out, you weed them in.
Think about that.
It's a weed them out or weed them in league.
Well, if we're just going to make little gags with each other, then we're not going to get anything
I'm
done.
being serious.
Well, hold on.
Don't weed my gags out.
Dustin, think about this. Dustin Hopkins, did he or did he not weed himself out? He weeded himself out.
He did.
And then what did he do? We gave him a chance in. He weeded himself back in. And then he weeded himself out. Do you or do you not believe?
We're bringing him back in. Let's go.
Dustin Hopkins is never going to kick in the NFL again? Really? He'll get a chance to kick in the NFL again. I can almost guarantee you he'll get a chance to kick in the NFL again. So it would happen where, a guy's first stop, maybe it's his only stop, but maybe the third stop's the charm. That's what makes it so frustrating.
Hopkins is 34 years old. When is the shelf life of a kicker? When do they go downhill?
No idea. Some guys kick into their 40s.
Yeah.
216.
Into their 50s.
216.
Wasn't it Blanda?
George Blanda wasn't 50. He just looked old.
Wasn't he 60?
It was a different time.
It says here, George Blanda was 27. No, I don't know.
Why am I looking up George Blanda's age?
Because it matters.
Well, he's dead. He's been dead for a while, but I mean, when he retired. Kevin in Westlake, while I look up George Blanda real quick.
He was 48 years old when he retired.
You serious? Yes. What a career.
Just shy of
That's why he's a Hall of
49th birthday.
Famer. That's why he's a Hall of Famer. And he did great truck commercials.
He looks like he's in his 80s in his last game.
Kevin, go ahead.
Hey, to your point, you don't develop kickers in the NFL. You got to have something going into it. I sent you an article on the Schmidt kid. He went to a highly recruited kid at Syracuse. They had coaching changes, holder changes, long snapper changes. The kid was a mess. He went out to a John Carney camp who greatly recommended this kid. He finally got Bob Lugasetti, who's an NFL coach now at Syracuse. And all of a sudden, the kid has a great year at Syracuse. So it sounds like they did their homework. The kid has the ability, and they probably do need to give him another chance to see if he can get it done or not. So you don't bring guys into the NFL. It's not a farm league of kickers. You better have some innate abilities when you go in there, size, speed, and strength. And then you have to have the right situation.
That's a good
We'll
answer.
see what happens.
That's the answer. See, that's what I was looking for.
I kind of
Kevin,
feel
thank
like
you, very much for the
could
call.
be their kicking specialist, Kevin.
Well, I had to let him go. I'm sorry, because I got to
John Carney is 61 years old. Could he kick for the Browns?
But what Kevin said is right. You go, honestly, you're probably going from what he did in college and everything, and you're going, well, we're going to take our chance on this guy. Developing is out the window.
El Del Greco.
That's probably the best answer.
Chip Low-Miller.
We're going to take our chance on this guy, and he's going to go out there, and we'll see if he hits him. And if he doesn't, we'll find somebody else.
First game I ever went to,
so it's still
Matt Barr hit the game winner for the Cleveland Browns against the Denver Broncos.
Okay, great. So when you still break it down, it is still same principle as what I said on Monday. You either have faith he's going to hit the kick or you don't have faith he's going to hit the kick. Developing, schmeloping.
Did I see over the weekend a Grammatica kid? I swear to God I saw a Grammatica kid as a kicker in college football.
Kids.
That was one situation where, you know what? Being overly confident and talking trash really got in your own way, did it not? Reggie and
Nico Grammatica.
USF.
Oh, my God.
USF, he's a freshman.
I can't get nothing done here.
Get Grammatica in here.
He's in college.
Some would say he's Automatica.
Reggie, hello.
How you doing, guys?
I mean, I'm doing okay. I haven't got his attention in like an hour, so he's just assing off. Who knows what he's doing over there? Go ahead, Reggie.
I have a theory on this, and I believe that it can be just because I spent 10 years in the Army, okay? And I have and in the Army we had a saying where you train how you fight and you fight how you train. And it's the same premise in football. You practice how you play and you play how you practice. So what you do for the kicker is you take the kicker, you put him in the stadium, and you put him on the goal line or wherever it is that you want him to kick field goals from or extra points or whatever it is, and you make him kick it at least once a week. Put him in different scenarios, put him on different hash marks, and you make him kick those field goals or extra points or whatever it is in different spots. That's how you develop him. That's how you get him better. You put a set of headphones on him and pipe stadium music into his head and put him in different situations where he has to deal with the crowd noise as well. That, I think, would work.
It just, in so many ways, it feels almost like a hazing ritual for a frat. Like, I got to do all these crazy things to him to make him mentally tougher to go ahead and do it. Like, I mean, oh God. I swear to God, I'd rather my kid play any position than kicker. I think about that, Reggie. And Reggie, it's not the worst idea I've ever heard, and I think it's what Lima wanted to do originally during training camp. And I think there's a lot of people who would agree with you,
Lima
Reggie.
wanted to pack
Thank you for the call. Yeah, Lima wanted to pack the stadium.
I wanted to have kicking competition night at the stadium.
It's insane. Why would anybody want their kid to be a kicker? Why? Why would you ever want that? That type of pressure? I mean, that's abuse. Why would you want them to be a kicker? Nuts.
Who is more of a football player, the long snapper or the kicker?
The long snapper makes tackles
Gotta be a long
on
snapper.
every play.
Yeah, the long snapper goes down there and
they got a block.
It's every time
They're the middle gunner.
Every time a long snapper goes down there and they are the middle gunner and they like just go down there and deck somebody, I always like, well, that's not fair. The long snapper going down there and Patrick Manley going down there and decking somebody, go, well, no one's allowed to even be on him. So, I mean,
it's a
just
free
not
shot.
fair. It's just not fair. It's not about whether you watched or not. It's about the friends you made along the way. That's next on The Fan. What a riddle.
Anthony Lima for Diamonds Direct, corner Richmond and Cedar Road. And what a great time to talk about all the treasures, literal treasures that they have over at Diamonds Direct, because it's direct sourcing, no middlemen. You get access to high quality diamonds at honest, straightforward prices. And I know firsthand because that is where I bought the engagement ring. That is the ring that changed everything in my life, and where better to get it than over at Diamonds Direct. Competitive pricing meets warm expert service. They treat you like a VIP. They'll have your favorite drink ready to go. And then it's up to you. Do you want to talk to everybody in the store? Do you want an education, or do you want to do it by yourself? You could do that at Diamonds Direct. And they got a 110% lifetime upgrade policy. I talk about all the perks,
host the Commanders. Washington knocked off the Giants in a Week 1 win, while the Packers also claimed a Week 1 division win over the Lions. Join us to find out which team can keep the momentum going and get to 2-0. It's the Commanders at the Packers on Thursday Night Football.
Catch Thursday Night Football on the radio home of the NFL in Cleveland, 92.3 The Fan.
Well, here's the first. Here's the commissioner of a sport saying you don't even got to watch his games.
Yeah, why bother?
Yeah. Here's Adam Silver. And this is about telling people about, well, if they can't find the streaming platform to watch his NBA games, well, you can just go to the highlight packages. Those are free, and it's a highlight sport anyway.
There's a huge amount of our content that people can essentially consume for free. I mean, this is very much a highlights-based sport. Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, you name it, any service, the New York Times for that matter, to the extent that your content is not behind a paid firewall. There's an enormous amount of content out there. YouTube, by another example, that is advertising based that consumers can consume.
All right, so that got a lot of people, they got their dander up about it. I saw it yesterday. A lot of NBA fans, a lot of NBA first people, very upset by what he said he was tone deaf. In that statement, said that one person said, a couple of people are saying like David Stern would be upset about hearing this, like all that type of stuff. Do you think he's right?
I think he's right not only for basketball. I think he's right about every sport now. I think things have changed. I think the percentage of people that just sit back and watch full games for the majority of the league, I think that is a very, very small number. I think a lot of people, like even for you to go, football, we watch the whole games. We watch our own team for 3 hours, yes. But how many people want to get in on the red zone conversation? Are you truly watching the whole games? Or are you watching basically highlights?
I disagree. I think people are watching whole games. I think they're watching whole games. I think they're watching
how many?
Sunday Night Football. I think a lot of Browns fans watch the Browns game on Sunday, and then, if they still were, with it, maybe they had a few drinks. One too many Canadian clubs, fell asleep around 7. I can't say who. They would have stayed up and watched the Sunday Night Football.
But is that the majority of the football fans?
I still think the majority of the football fans are doing that.
Don't forget, the NFL fans, why does the Super Bowl have such a insane rating? They get casuals to come over and watch that whole game, but they don't watch games all year long. They go on social media. They see how their fantasy teams are doing. They get all the highlights of the big touchdowns. I know there weren't a lot of big touchdowns in the Browns game.
I disagree.
Which, we could get into another conversation about the entertainment value of that
Third most
game.
entertaining game of the weekend,
right.
According to a couple of metrics.
Like 2 podcasts.
Champions Pose.
I was listening to one of the podcasts that I think was the Athletic Football Podcast. The Ringer's football podcast. And they were like, that game, some games had it all. That game had nothing. They were like, we don't know what to call that game.
Well, thank God I listen to the Ringer all the time.
So, I think all these games, I think baseball certainly, people might still have their fantasy baseball teams, whatever, their rotisserie teams, but they're seeing the highlights on Twitter and now they've seen it. They've seen that home run. They've seen that. They're not going to go DVR the baseball game and go back and watch the entire
talking entire
game.
NFL football games?
Yeah. I think people, especially like on Sundays, when people have 5 TVs, you think they're watching all the games for 3 hours?
I don't think there's that many people who have 5 TVs that are watching all the games for 3 hours.
Even 2 TVs, and they have a bunch of friends over. Are they truly dialed into the whole games?
I think
a very small percentage. You and I are. Yeah, we watch the whole games. But I don't think we're speaking for everybody, and I think there's a lot more fans out there in all sports today that are not, especially young fans, are not consuming these sports the way we did when we were given one option.
I think football's
in
different.
one window.
No, I think football's different.
I think football is
communal.
more than the others. But I think you watch your own team, yes, 3 hours. I think a lot of people are just they pass on by. They see all the stuff going on. That's why Red Zone's so successful. Red Zone is not sitting there showing you full games. They're showing you highlight.
I understand that. Like, you may do that in the 4 o'clock window, but like Sunday Night Football, there's one game on. And I think a lot of people are watching Sunday Night Football. I think a lot of people are watching Monday Night Football again when there's one game on. Red Zone, I can't battle. But I think that football, baseball, guilty as charged in so many ways. People like watching home runs. They don't like watching any of the... I think they like watching the other stuff more than they did because of the pitch clock and everything else. Basketball... I don't know. I mean, when we're talking highlight leagues, how many highlights of three-pointers can I watch before I just go, God, I'd rather watch the whole game. Give me the whole game now.
Wow.
I don't need three-point highlights. Like, I can't, like, when there's a hell of a dunk that's thrown down and we get yeah, I'll watch that. That's fine. Give me the whole game. Give me the whole Cavs game. Because they're hitting three-pointers like crazy. It takes away any of the fun. I don't need to see a shoot-around, a glorified shoot-around of three-pointers. So, like the 10-minute game, it doesn't do as much as it did 6 years ago. Now that before it was Steph Curry and a couple other guys. Now it's everybody.
Yeah, it's everybody.
But I think in when it comes to NFL football, it's the communal feeling of people being together. And I think, again, young men, Sundays, maybe you went out on Saturday, you're hanging out. It's just an easy way to take in Sunday. You throw a couple of bucks down on whatever app you got, and you watch the games, and you take it in. Maybe you are watching Red Zone, and then if you're in Chicago, you're watching Bears. Or maybe if you're in LA, you wake up early, or you wake up whenever in the second quarter, you got Red Zone on, and then you're watching whoever you like over there, if you're a Seattle Seahawks fan or whatever. Like, I still think that there is where people are watching whole games in the NFL. Now, and I even think with the young people, they may be doing it. I think even with guys our age, it's like the one day you kind of get away with it. Like, I can't just sit there and watch every one basketball game. Life gets in the way. Sunday, yeah, you got kids, maybe you got some soccer, something going on there. But if you got like a 4 o'clock window or something like that, you're going to get away with watching the whole game.
It is amazing to me how all this has changed, though. When I was young, I mean, the Sunday night baseball game, I just watched it. It was on, and I watched it. It didn't matter who the teams were. I just watched the game. I'm never doing that again. That is never going to happen again.
Big Bark Extreme. He writes, what type of American is voting no? I just put the poll up. We'll discuss it during the podcast. The emerging podcast scene presented by Extend Technologies, 92.3 The Fan on the free Odyssey app. We're also, Ryan Day, he doesn't want one transfer portal. Apparently the SEC disagrees. I thought they'd be in lockstep. We'll get into that. 10:15 as well. 92.3 The Fan Extra on the free Odyssey app. Thanks to Mary Kay. Thanks to Jason Lloyd. We're back tomorrow 6 to 10 for Big Country, for Jeff, for Mitch, for the Slippery Wizard, Anthony Lima. I'm Ken Carman. Have a wonderful day, my friends, and go Guardians. Get a win today. Let's go.
With 13 lovers, I hit the
Hey, sounds good.